My girlfriend rated our first kiss as a B+ and kept Excel spreadsheets tracking my boyfriend points. -12 for choosing game night over the farmer's market, +18 for bringing her coffee. Yeah, I wish I was making this up. I'm Jake, 26, and I discovered my entire relationship was being graded like a performance review. Tuesday, September 3rd, 2:15 in the afternoon. I was walking back from lunch to my desk at TechFlow Solutions, half a burrito still sitting heavy in my stomach, texting Sarah about dinner plans. You know those texts you send without really thinking? The ones where you're on autopilot because you've been together for 3 years and everything just flows? Yeah, that was me. I dropped into my chair, one of those ergonomic ones that cost more than my first car, and glanced at my desk setup. There was this framed photo from our Yosemite trip last summer, Sarah laughing with her hair all wild from the wind at Glacier Point. Next to it, my stress ball shaped like a server. Marcus got it for me after the great database crash of 2023. And this coffee mug Sarah bought me for my birthday that said, "I survived another meeting that should have been an email." My phone buzzed. Sarah, Thai food would be optimal. 7:30 p.m. arrival expected. I actually laughed out loud. She'd been doing this more lately, texting like she was sending a corporate memo. But hey, she was a project manager at Morrison Tech. Everything in her life was a deliverable. Marcus rolled his chair over, being nosy as usual. Dude, your girlfriend texts like she's writing documentation. She's a project manager, I said, already diving back into my code. Everything's a deliverable to her. He shrugged and rolled back to his desk, but something about that interaction stuck with me. Not in a bad way, just, I don't know, like when you notice a pattern you hadn't seen before. I spent the rest of the afternoon crushing this critical bug that had been eating our CPU cycles, the kind of focus coding where you lose track of time, and suddenly it's 4:30 and you've been holding your pee for 2 hours. While the tests ran, I found myself daydreaming about Christmas. I'd been planning to propose at her parents' place in Vermont. Traditional, sure, but Sarah loved traditions. She had this whole spreadsheet for holiday planning. My manager's voice cut through my thoughts. All hands meeting, conference room B, 5 minutes. Turns out they were doing server maintenance Wednesday afternoon, sending everyone home at noon. Sweet. Wednesday, September 4th, 11:45 in the morning. I was packing up my laptop, genuinely excited about the unexpected half day. You know that feeling when you get surprise free time, like finding a 20 in your pocket? That was me, already planning how I'd use these bonus hours. Then it hit me. Sarah loved the farmer's market downtown, and she always complained we never went because of work. Perfect opportunity for boyfriend points, right? God, if only I knew how literal that was. The market was buzzing with that late summer energy. All corn and tomatoes and people's dogs trying to steal samples. I went straight to the flower stand, remembering Sarah loved sunflowers. As I picked through the bundles, this weird memory popped up. 3 weeks ago, we were making breakfast and she'd mentioned, totally casually, "You haven't brought me flowers in 37 days. 37 days? Who counts that? But that was Sarah, detail-oriented to a fault. I actually thought it was endearing. I'm an idiot, I know. The drive home was perfect. Windows down, our shared playlist going. We'd called it Jake and Sarah's Certified Bangers because we thought we were funny. The Killers were playing Mr. Brightside, and I was singing along like an idiot, thinking about how I'd surprise her with the flowers. Her car was in the garage when I pulled up. That was weird. She should have been at work until at least 6. Maybe she was sick? Food poisoning from that sketchy lunch place she insisted on trying yesterday? I walked in quiet, not wanting to wake her if she was resting. But then I heard the shower running upstairs. Okay, so she was home early too. No big deal. I set the sunflowers on the kitchen counter, arranging them a little so they'd look nice when she came down. That's when I saw her laptop. Wide open, screen still bright, right there, next to the coffee maker. The screensaver hadn't even kicked in yet, and I was about to close it, I swear I was, but the browser tab caught my eye. Jake Performance Metrics Q3 2024. My therapist would later ask me why I looked. Honestly, the same reason you slow down at a car wreck. You know you shouldn't, you know it's going to be bad, but your brain just takes over and suddenly you're doing it anyway. Wednesday, 2:07 p.m. Still frozen at the kitchen counter. The spreadsheet was a thing of beauty, if you're into color-coded nightmares. Every cell perfectly formatted, drop-down menus for categories, conditional formatting that turned cells red or green based on the values. It was like she'd attended some twisted Excel masterclass for psychopaths. I started reading the entries, and my hands literally started shaking. I'm not being dramatic, they were actually trembling as I scrolled. August 15th, 8:15 p.m. Chose game night with friends over my suggestion to visit farmer's market, minus 12 points. August 22nd, 12:30 p.m. Surprised me with coffee at work, plus 18 points. August 23rd, 12:35 p.m. Coffee was wrong order, oat milk instead of almond, minus 5 points. Negligence penalty. Exit. Negligence penalty. She gave me a negligence penalty for getting her coffee order wrong. There was a fucking graph showing my relationship performance index over time. The line went up and down like a penny stock. Currently, I was at 2,847 points. A red cell at the bottom blinked at me. Points required for milestone event, 3,000. See strategic planning doc for details. Looking back, this should have been my first red flag. Well, no, there were probably hundreds of red flags before this. This was more like finding out the red flags had their own spreadsheet. My mouth went dry. I clicked to another tab labeled Behavioral Modification, Strategies, Jake. That's when the shower turned off upstairs. Babe, that you? Sarah's voice floated down, cheerful as ever. My voice came out like I'd swallowed sandpaper. Yeah, just got home early. Perfect. I took a mental health afternoon. We can spend quality time together. The way she said quality time made my skin crawl. Was that a category in her spreadsheet? How many points was quality time worth? I wanted to run, but I also needed to know more. So, I did what any reasonable person would do. I quickly took photos of everything with my phone, my hands shaking so bad I had to retake half of them. The shower door opened upstairs. Sarah humming some Taylor Swift song. I slammed the laptop shut and tried to look normal, which probably made me look like I was having a stroke. But I needed to process what I'd just seen. My girlfriend of 3 years had turned our entire relationship into a spreadsheet, and apparently, I was only 153 points away from finding out what milestone event meant. Wednesday, 2:25 p.m. Sarah came downstairs in her fuzzy pink robe, the one I'd gotten her last Christmas, hair wrapped up in a towel. She looked so normal, so much like the woman I'd fallen in love with, that for a second I thought maybe I'd imagined the whole spreadsheet thing. Maybe I was having some kind of stress-induced hallucination. Then she kissed me and noticed the sunflowers on the counter. Sunflowers, unprompted flower purchase. How thoughtful. She literally said unprompted flower purchase, like she was cataloging it for inventory. Who talks like that? You okay? I managed, trying to keep my voice steady. You never take afternoons off. She was already typing on her phone, fingers flying, just optimizing my work-life balance. Oh, Marcus texted, you're home early too. Synchronized schedules. How efficient. Efficient. She called our accidental afternoon together efficient. Not romantic, not lucky, not sweet. Efficient. I pretended to check my phone while she made tea, the screenshots burning in my camera roll like evidence of a crime, which, honestly, they kind of were. She started talking about weekend plans, and that's when she pulled up her phone to show me something that made my blood run cold. A shared Google Calendar I didn't know existed called Relationship, Milestones, and Commitments. Every single date was logged. Remember our anniversary dinner last month? She scrolled through entries. I have it rated here. Ambiance was 8 out of 10, but service was only a 6. She kept scrolling, and I saw it. Our first kiss. April 9th, 2021, 11:43 p.m. with a fucking note. Technique, 7 out of 10. Timing, 9 out of 10. Overall, satisfaction, B+. She was grading our first kiss. Our first kiss. Like it was a performance review at a mediocre job. Why do you have all this documented? I asked, trying to sound casually curious instead of completely horrified. She looked at me like it was the most obvious thing in the world. How else would I track our progress? Relationships require data to improve, Jake. You can't manage what you don't measure. I wanted to scream. I wanted to ask her if she measured how many times my heart skipped when she laughed, or if she had a spreadsheet for the way I felt when she fell asleep on my shoulder during movies. But I just nodded, like an idiot, and sipped the tea she handed me. Wednesday, 3:45 p.m. We were on the couch now, Netflix playing some true crime documentary neither of us were watching. Sarah was cuddled against me, her laptop closed on the coffee table like a sleeping monster. My mind was racing faster than my heart after too much pre-workout. I decided to test her. Hey, remember our third date? That disaster at the mini golf place when it started pouring? Without missing a beat, without even thinking, she responded, April 15th, 2021. You scored 12 over par. I beat you by 7 strokes. You were wearing your blue Henley with the small hole near the bottom hem. The hole I got that same day from catching it on the fence. A detail so small I'd forgotten it myself. No one remembers that much unless they have it written down. No one. My phone buzzed Marcus, asking if I wanted to game tonight. Before I could even process the text, Sarah said, "You should spend time with Marcus. Male friendships are important for relationship health." Since when did she encourage game nights? Usually, she'd make this little face, not quite disappointed, but definitely logging it somewhere in her mental calculator. Now I knew why she was literally keeping score. She opened her laptop again to check work emails, but I caught a glimpse of another tab. Test scenario 47. Spontaneous friend invitation response. She was testing me, right there, in real time, like I was some lab rat in her relationship experiment. The woman I was planning to marry was running behavioral tests on me. "Yeah, I'll game with Marcus for a bit," I said, watching her face carefully. She made a small sound, and I swear to God made a quick note in her phone. "What are you typing?" I asked, knowing exactly what she was typing. Just a reminder about something for work tomorrow. The crazy part? She was such a smooth liar. 3 years of this, and I'd never suspected a thing. How many of our conversations had been tests? How many of our fights were calculated? When she cried during the notebook last month, was that real, or was she hitting some kind of emotional availability checkpoint? I felt like I was losing my mind. Like everything I thought was real was actually just data points in Sarah's relationship matrix. Thursday, September 5th, 9 a.m. I'd barely slept, just laid there all night staring at the ceiling while Sarah slept peacefully beside me, probably dreaming in spreadsheet cells. I called in sick to work, told them I had food poisoning. Wasn't totally a lie. I felt like I might puke. Sarah left for her office at exactly 7:30 a.m., kissing me goodbye with what she actually called daily affection quota maintained. Those exact words came out of her mouth like it was normal. Like everyone talks about affection quotas with their significant other. The second her car left the driveway, I went full detective mode. I'm not proud of it, but I needed to know how deep this went. I logged into her laptop with the password I knew Mr. Whiskers 2007, her childhood cat, plus her birth year. Thank God she hadn't optimized her password security. There it was, sitting on her desktop like it belonged there, a folder called Relationship Management System. Inside were subfolders that made my stomach drop. Jake Current, X Tyler 2018 to 2020, X Brandon 2016 to 2018. Potential alternatives. Potential alternatives. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely click. The potential alternatives folder had LinkedIn profiles of 3 guys from her gym. Each had notes. This one dude, Bradley, had higher earning potential, investment banking, and better genetic markers for offspring. 6'2", athletic build, no family history of baldness. She had analyzed potential boyfriends like she was buying a fucking car. But wait, it gets worse. There was a PowerPoint. An actual, professionally designed PowerPoint titled Quarterly Relationship Review, Q3, 2024. 27 slides. 27. Slide 7 was a SWOT analysis of our relationship. For those lucky enough to not know, that's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I was listed as a weakness under limited vertical career mobility and excessive emotional attachment to family. Under threats, Jake's brother's influence, excessive gaming enablement, and Jake's friend group, low ambition cohort. She called my friends a low ambition cohort. These were the guys who helped me move her stupid sectional sofa up 3 flights of stairs. Who does something like that? Seriously? Then I found the Word document that changed everything. Contingency planning, relationship exit strategies. She had actual breakup scripts for different scenarios. There was one for if I cheated, one for if she found someone better, one for performance decline beyond recovery threshold. I took photos of everything, evidence, proof that I wasn't crazy, that this actually happened, because who would believe this without proof? Even typing this out now, I'm getting angry all over again. My phone buzzed. Sarah, texting to check if I was feeling better, reminding me we had dinner with her parents Saturday. Her exact words, parental approval metrics still suboptimal, need improvement. She was telling me I was failing her parents' scorecard, to my face, like it was constructive feedback. Thursday, 2:30 p.m. I was still in the apartment, going deeper down this digital rabbit hole. Sarah had texted twice more, asking if I needed her to pick up soup on her way home. Chicken noodle has optimal recovery nutrients, she'd written. Even her care was calculated. I texted back that I was fine, just resting, while I dove into more folders. That's when I discovered something that made everything else look tame. She had access to my Google location history. I don't know how. We'd shared locations for safety, sure, but this was different. She had charts of my movements. There was a spreadsheet called Unexplained Location Deviations with timestamps and duration. Remember when I told her I was working late but was actually at the jewelry store looking at engagement rings? Marked in red, August 8th, 6:47 to 7:23 p.m. Potential deception. Investigate. Number 1. X key. The time I went to Target to buy her surprise birthday decorations. July 12th, 2:15 to 3:08 p.m. Unscheduled retail visit. Monitor spending patterns. But here's the kicker, the one that really got me. 3 weeks ago, I said I was at work but stopped by my mom's because she was having a rough day after her doctor's appointment. Sarah had it logged. August 20th, 12 p.m. to 1:45 p.m. Extended lunch. Location, residential area. Possible affair. She thought I was cheating on her, with data to back it up, while she was literally keeping spreadsheets of backup boyfriends. I found her email drafts to her sister, and honestly, I wish I hadn't. The latest one said, Jake's performing adequately, but plateau detected. Considering escalation to marriage track pending Q4 results. Current ROI suggests minimal risk. Her own sister had replied, what's his current ROI? Sarah had responded with an actual calculation. My relationship return on investment included my $75,000 salary, my appearance rating 7.3 out of 10, apparently, and something called projected appreciation over 10 years that factored in potential promotions and the likelihood of me inheriting my parents' house. She'd calculated my worth like I was a stock portfolio. I still can't believe she had the nerve to assign me a 7.3 for appearance. After all those times, she said I was the most handsome guy in the room. Then Pixel jumped on my lap, our cat, the one we'd adopted together 6 months ago. Sweet little orange tabby who loved everyone. And it hit me. I searched for Pixel in her documents. Found it. Shared responsibility test. Pet ownership trial. Subject, Jake. Duration, 6 to 12 months. Success metrics, feeding consistency, vet appointment management, emotional bonding levels. Our cat was a test. Our fucking cat was a test to see if I was father material. She literally put see child rearing preparedness correlation study in the notes. Friday, September 6th, 10 a.m. I was at my brother Danny's apartment, laptop bag in hand, probably looking like I'd seen a ghost. I'd told Sarah I went to work, but there was no way I could concentrate on debugging code when my entire life was apparently a bug. You look like shit, Danny said, handing me a beer even though it was 10 in the morning. Brothers know when you need a breakfast beer. Dude, you're not going to believe this. I opened my phone and started showing him the screenshots. Danny's jaw literally dropped. Like, cartoon character style dropped open. Bro, she turned you into a spreadsheet. It gets worse. I pulled up her Reddit account I'd found. Username, PM_your_relationship_KPIs. She was active in r/female dating strategy, posting about optimizing partner performance through data-driven approaches. Danny read out loud, boyfriend's point trajectory declining in Q3, intervention strategies. He looked at me. What the fuck is a point trajectory? I scrolled to the comments. People were giving her advice. Real advice. Have you tried implementing performance improvement plans? One said. My partner responded well to structured feedback loops. Sarah had replied, thanks. I'll add spontaneous romance tests to next month's audit cycle. Audit cycle, Danny repeated. She's auditing your romance like you're a fucking tax return. Then, Danny found the post that made me want to throw my phone across the room. From last week, considering marriage proposal prompt to accelerate commitment timeline, thoughts on manipulating proposal timing. The comments were full of suggestions. Drop hints about friends getting engaged. Leave bridal magazines around. Create artificial scarcity by mentioning other options. Sarah had responded to each one. Excellent strategies. I've initiated phase 1 with subtle ring size inquiries. I'd thought she was excited about maybe getting engaged. Those times she'd casually mentioned her ring size, or pointed out her friends' engagement photos on Instagram all calculated. She was trying to manipulate me into proposing on her timeline, not ours. Jake? Danny said, putting his hand on my shoulder. You have to confront her. This is insane. With what? She'll just say I violated her privacy by snooping. Bro, she's got contingency plans for breaking up with you. She's got backup boyfriends picked out. She's scoring your relationship like it's a video game. Looking back, this should have been my first red flag. No, this is your get the fuck out flag. He was right. I knew he was right. But 3 years is a long time. You don't just throw that away without being absolutely sure. Friday, 4 p.m. Sarah texted that she was making my favorite dinner, chicken parmesan. Special Friday, optimization, surprise, with a heart emoji. Not, I wanted to do something nice, or I thought you'd like this, optimization, surprise. Like, our relationship was a machine that needed oiling. I checked her spreadsheet through the photos. Yeah, there it was. Today's entry, already filled out, romance recovery test, post-sick day appreciation metric. She'd planned this before I even got sick. How did she know I'd be home yesterday? Did she plan that too? I went home because I needed to see it play out. I needed to know how deep the performance went. Danny thought I was crazy, but I had to see her in action, knowing what I knew. She was in full performance mode when I walked in. Candles lit lavender, which she had documented as my preferred scent for relaxation. Wearing that black dress I'd complimented once 4 months ago. She'd tracked that compliment. April 29th, 8:32 p.m. Jake showed 73% pupil dilation upon seeing outfit incorporate into high-stakes scenarios. She kissed me when I walked in. I thought we could have a relationship enhancement evening. Relationship enhancement evening. Every word calculated for maximum optimization. Who does something like that? Seriously, who talks to their boyfriend of 3 years like they're delivering a quarterly earnings call? During dinner, which was admittedly perfect, she pulled out what she called a couples questionnaire she'd found online. I'd seen the draft in her files. She wrote it. Every question designed to extract specific data points. Rate your partner's effort this week on a scale of 1 to 10. What areas need improvement for optimal relationship satisfaction? How would you score our intimacy levels this month? She was literally conducting a performance review over chicken parm, with a straight face, taking notes on her phone between bites. Why are you documenting this? I finally asked. Oh, I just think it's good to check in, make sure we're both fulfilled. She smiled. That same smile that used to make my heart skip. Now it just made my skin crawl because I could practically see her calculating the exact angle for maximum impact. Sarah, do you love me? The question came out before I could stop it. She tilted her head, processing. Of course I do, Jake. You're tracking at 87% satisfaction rate this quarter. 87%. She told me she loved me with a percentage. I was done playing the game. Saturday, September 7th, 11 a.m. The confrontation. I'd waited until she was out of the shower, most vulnerable, wearing nothing but a towel and her false sense of superiority. I had my phone ready, screenshots lined up like bullets in a chamber. Sarah, what the fuck is this? I showed her the first screenshot, the main spreadsheet with my point total. Her face went through this whole processing sequence, like watching Windows boot up. Surprise, calculating, defensive, then this eerie, practiced calm. You went through my private files? Classic Sarah, trying to flip it, make me the villain. But I was ready for this. Hell, I'd seen her contingency plan for this exact scenario. You've been scoring our entire relationship? I kept my voice steady, even though I wanted to scream. She sat down on the bed, towel wrapped tight, and I swear to God she had the audacity to look hurt. Jake, it's not what it looks like. I just like being organized about my feelings. Organized? I pulled up the next screenshot. Sarah, you have a SWOT analysis of our relationship. You called my friends a low-ambition cohort. That's just data, Jake. It doesn't mean... I read directly from her contingency plan, the one for this exact moment. Exit strategy if confrontation occurs. Minimize, deflect, appeal to emotional investment. She went pale. Actually pale. For the first time in 3 years, I'd caught her without a prepared response. You don't understand. She tried again, voice smaller now. My therapist said it was healthy to track patterns in relationships. What therapist? I asked. The one you rated 6 out of 10 for excessive emotional focus? The silence that followed was beautiful, like that moment in a video game when you finally beat the boss you've been stuck on for hours. Then she said the words that still haunt me, that perfectly summed up how broken her whole worldview was. I just wanted to make sure I was making the right choice. Is that so wrong? She genuinely didn't understand. In her mind, this was logical, reasonable, smart, even. By the way, if you think this is insane, subscribe because I haven't even gotten to the best part yet. I showed her the potential alternatives folder. You've got backup boyfriends, Sarah, with LinkedIn profiles. She had the nerve to defend it. Those are just benchmarks, Jake. You're currently outperforming them by 23%. 23%. Like that should make me feel better. Like I should be grateful I was beating out Bradley from the gym and her twisted boyfriend's stock market. Sarah, you had our cat as a test. Our cat. Shared responsibility trials are a standard predictor of... Stop. I was done. Just stop talking like you're presenting a fucking TED talk about our relationship. I started packing a bag while she sat there, frantically typing on her phone, not texting, calculating. I could see her screen. She was literally updating my points in real time. Jake, wait. She stood up, phone in hand like a weapon. You're at 2,847 points. You're so close to the next milestone. I stopped at the bedroom door. What's the milestone, Sarah? She actually smiled, like she was about to offer me a prize. If you hit 3,000 points, I was going to let you propose. She was going to let me propose to her, like it was a reward for good behavior. Don't you want to know what happens at 4,000 points? She called out as I headed down the stairs. I'll admit, for half a second, I was curious. Then I remembered this woman had turned love into a spreadsheet. She'd taken every kiss, every laugh, every moment I thought was real and assigned it a numerical value. Jake, if you leave now, you lose all accumulated points. We'd have to start over from zero. Those were her last words to me. Not, I love you, not, please don't go, but a warning about my points balance. I left her there, standing in her towel, probably already creating a new spreadsheet titled Breakup Recovery Optimization Strategy. The epilogue? 2 weeks later, she sent me an email with the subject line, Relationship Exit Survey, Your Feedback Matters. It was a 15-question form asking me to rate various aspects of our relationship and suggest areas for improvement for future partners. I didn't fill it out, but I did forward it to her next boyfriend on LinkedIn, Bradley from the gym. Figured he deserved a warning about what he was signing up for. He thanked me, said she'd already sent him an onboarding packet with relationship expectations and key performance indicators. Some people are just beyond saving. You know what's terrifying about this? Sarah genuinely thought she was being smart about relationships. Like she'd crack some code the rest of us were too emotional to see. The boyfriend points system, the SWOT analysis, the backup boyfriends with LinkedIn profiles in her mind, this was just good relationship management. But love isn't supposed to be managed. It's not a project you optimize or a metric you track. The fact that she sent him an exit survey and immediately onboarded the next guy with KPIs. That's when you know someone's completely lost the plot. A relationship performance index with graphs and contingency plans. Imagine getting dumped and receiving an exit survey. That's a whole new level of corporate psycho. But hang tight, our next story takes practice makes perfect to a place it should never ever go. I found out my boyfriend had a WhatsApp group with his MBA bros where they discussed me like a case study, calling me his relationship simulator to test things before using them on his actual girlfriend. This isn't fiction, this was my 5-year relationship. I'm Emma, designer at a Brooklyn startup, and Marcus had been running 2 parallel relationships with PowerPoint presentations. Friday, October 18th, 6:45 p.m. I was cramming my MacBook into my overnight bag, trying not to wrinkle the presentation boards I'd spent all week perfecting at Pixel and Thread. Outside, I could hear Marcus loading the car for our weekend trip to his parents' lake house in Connecticut, probably arranging our luggage with the same precision he used for his investment portfolios. I was wearing the cashmere sweater his mother Catherine bought me last Christmas, the one that cost more than my monthly MetroCard budget, hoping maybe this time she'd see me as more than just Marcus's phase. 5 years together, and I was still the girl who wasn't quite right for their precious son. The vanilla candle I'd lit was doing absolutely nothing for my nerves. I blew it out and grabbed my phone charger, then remembered Marcus's parents' house had those weird European outlets in half the rooms. Whatever. I'd figure it out. Marcus came back in, his perfectly styled hair somehow unaffected by the October wind. Ready for the Whitmore family gauntlet? He kissed my forehead, that same gentle kiss he'd given me 1,000 times. They love you, Em. Well, they tolerate you, which for them is basically love. I laughed, but God, it stung. 5 years. We'd been through his dad's triple bypass, my mom's breast cancer scare, his entire semester in London where I'd saved every penny to visit him twice. I twisted the promise ring on my finger, not an engagement ring. He'd been very clear about that junior year. A placeholder, he'd called it, until the timing is right. The timing had been pending for 3 years now. Marcus was already checking his phone as we headed to the car. Sorry, babe, just waiting on this Goldman email about Monday's final interview. This could be it, the offer that gets us out of that shoebox apartment. Us. At least he still said us. That had to count for something, right? Friday, 9:30 p.m., and we were finally pulling up to the Whitmore estate. I call it an estate because house doesn't do justice to something with its own zip code. Even after all these years, I still got lost trying to find the bathroom in the east wing. Catherine met us at the door with her signature air kiss for me, you know, the kind where her lips don't actually touch your cheek while she gave Marcus a real hug. Emma, dear, You look rested. Okay, that's Catherine speak for, you look like you gave up. I'd learned to decode her passive-aggressive compliments years ago. Richard, Marcus's father, didn't even look up from his Wall Street Journal. Par for the course. Mom, where's the phone charger? Marcus asked, already antsy. My phone's at 2% and I need to check that Goldman email. Your father might have one in the study, Catherine said, already turning away to fuss with some massive flower arrangement that probably cost more than my weekly salary. Shit, Marcus muttered, showing me his dying phone. Babe, can I borrow yours? Just need 5 minutes to check email and respond if they sent anything. I handed it over without thinking. We knew each other's passcodes, shared location, had a joint Netflix account, the whole deal. Charger's in my bag if you need it. You're a lifesaver. He kissed my cheek and headed to the study. I was helping Catherine arrange her already perfect flowers, listening to her talk about the marina renovation, when I heard Marcus yell, "Fuck," from down the hall. Catherine's eyebrows shot up. The Whitmores didn't do loud emotions. I rushed to the study, finding Marcus standing there, face white as Catherine's Italian marble countertops, staring at my phone. I opened Instagram by muscle memory, he stammered. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to invade your privacy. Marcus, it's fine. You know I don't care if you. Then I saw it. The message notification still glowing at the top of the screen. From someone named Valentina. Can't wait for you to finally end things with your practice girlfriend. The room went silent. Even the grandfather clock seemed to stop ticking. Friday, 9:45 p.m. Still frozen in that study with its leather-bound books and old money smell. My hands were shaking as I took my phone back from Marcus. The screen felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Who's Valentina? My voice came out steadier than I felt. Marcus did that thing that Tell I'd noticed over the years where he touched his ear when he was about to lie. She's nobody. Just this girl from Cornell who has a weird crush on me. She's delusional. But I was already opening Instagram, finding the message thread. Valentina's profile picture stopped me cold. She was stunning in that effortless way that only comes from good genetics and better bank accounts. Riding boots, Hermes bag, cheekbones that could cut glass. Seriously, she's just... Shut up. I scrolled up. There were messages going back months. My eyes caught fragments. Practice run at the vineyard. When we go for real, she doesn't suspect anything. Marcus tried to grab the phone. Emma, please let me explain. I pulled away, still reading. Found a message from last month. How was your practice run at the vineyard? Did she like it? Good. Then I'll love it when we go for real next month. The vineyard. Chateau Margaux, where Marcus had taken me for our 5-year anniversary. Where he'd made that beautiful speech about our future while we watched the sunset over the grapes. Where I'd thought maybe, finally, he was going to propose. You know that moment when your entire reality just cracks? Like finding out the sky was never actually blue? That's what this felt like. Marcus, I said, my voice so calm it scared me. What the fuck is a practice girlfriend? He was stammering now, his MBA-trained composure completely shattered. It's not. She's crazy. She misunderstood something I said once at a networking event. But I wasn't listening anymore. I was scrolling through years of messages. Years. And with each swipe up, 5 years of my life revealed itself to be something completely different than what I'd thought. Baby, please, we should talk about this privately. Oh, now you want privacy? I laughed, but it came out sharp. Funny how that works. Catherine's voice floated down the hall. Marcus, everything all right? Valentina's on the house phone, asking about brunch tomorrow. I looked at Marcus, really looked at him. His face had gone from white to green. Tomorrow's brunch? I asked sweetly. With Valentina? Friday, 10:15 p.m. We were still in the study, and I was deep diving into Marcus's Instagram through Valentina's profile. She hadn't made it private. Why would she? She was the real girlfriend, after all. The photos were like looking into an alternate universe. There was Marcus at the Whitmore Foundation Gala 6 months ago, his arm around Valentina in a $10,000 dress. I remembered that night. He'd told me it was a business thing, no +1s allowed. I'd spent the evening eating Chinese takeout and catching up on design work. Christmas party at the Yale Club last December. Marcus in a tux, Valentina sparkling beside him. That was the night he'd said he had a boring family obligation and told me to stay home because I'd be miserable surrounded by stuffy old people. Then I found it, a photo from 3 months ago. Valentina wearing a necklace, a delicate gold chain with a ruby pendant. I touched my own neck, where an identical necklace lay. Except mine had a garnet, the cheaper stone. The room was spinning. Marcus was pacing now, running his hands through his hair. Please, let me explain. It's complicated. Our families have this understanding. That's when Catherine knocked on the door. Marcus, Valentina's calling on the house phone about tomorrow's brunch plans. Should I tell her you'll call her back? She opened the door, took one look at my face, then at Marcus's panic, then at my phone in my hands. And this woman who'd made me feel small for 5 years, actually smiled, just a tiny upturn of her lips, but I caught it. "Oh," Catherine said, her voice dripping with fake concern. "Well, this is awkward." She didn't even pretend to be surprised. She knew. She'd known the whole fucking time. Looking back, this should have been my first red flag, that very first family dinner when Catherine asked me about my 5-year plan and seemed disappointed when it didn't include leaving Marcus. "I'll just tell Valentina you'll see her at 9 tomorrow," Catherine said, already turning away. "Don't stay up too late, darlings." Friday, 11 p.m. I'd barricaded myself in the guest bedroom, the one with the weird antique furniture that looked expensive but felt like sleeping on disappointment. Marcus had been knocking for 20 minutes, but I wasn't interested in his explanations. I had his phone. Yeah, I knew his passcode, his birthday 071598, real original for a guy who supposedly worked in high finance. What I found made me want to throw up. In his contacts, I was listed as Practice Emma. Not Emma, not M, not even girlfriend. Practice Emma. Valentina was saved as future wife. I kept scrolling. Back up. Becca. Thursday, Sophia. Who does something like that? Seriously? Then I found the WhatsApp group that changed everything. MBA Relationship Strategy. 7 members, all his Wharton bros with their professional headshots as profile pics. The messages went back 2 years. 2 fucking years of discussing me like I was a case study. Brad Stevens, 10:43 p.m., 3 weeks ago. Bro, managing both is genius. You're getting all your mistakes out with Emma, so you'll be perfect for Val. Marcus's reply. Exactly. Emma's like my relationship simulator. I test everything on her first. Someone named Derek had asked, does Emma know? Marcus, 11:15 p.m. God no. She thinks we're soulmates. It's actually cute. It's actually cute. I felt bile rise in my throat. I kept reading. There was a whole thread from last month about how Marcus practiced his proposal speech on me. He'd said he was helping his friend Mike prepare to propose. I'd sat there on our couch, tears streaming down my face, telling him how beautiful it was, how lucky Mike's girlfriend would be. Marcus had written, Emma cried, actual tears. Speech is definitely ready for V. 3 weeks ago, Emma taught me that thing about love languages, tried it with Val, she loved it. This practice girlfriend thing is genius. I wasn't his girlfriend. I was his fucking tutorial mode, like those practice runs you do in a video game before the real boss fight. Saturday, October 19th, 2 a.m. I couldn't sleep. Marcus had finally given up knocking around midnight. Probably went to his childhood bedroom with the lacrosse trophies and Harvard acceptance letter framed on the wall. I found his laptop in his monogrammed leather bag, the one I'd bought him for his birthday, with 2 months of savings. Password, Valentina's birthday. Found it on Facebook in 30 seconds. January 9th, 1998. There it was, right on his desktop, like he wasn't even trying to hide it. A Google Doc titled Relationship Development Strategy, 2-track system. 60 pages. 60 fucking pages about me and Valentina. The sections read like a business proposal. Lessons from E to implement with V. Mistakes made with E to avoid with V. Gift testing protocol. Conflict resolution practice scenarios. I found an entry from our last fight when he'd canceled our dinner plans for a networking event. E upset about cancellation. Reaction. Tears, then cold shoulder for 2 days. Note for V. Always position networking as for our future instead of for my career. V responds better to collective framing. He'd been taking notes on our fights to use with her. Then I found the spreadsheet, because of course there was a spreadsheet. Marcus comparing me and Valentina across 40 different metrics like we were mutual funds. Valentina scored higher in family compatibility, 9 out of 10, social capital, 10 out of 10, and long-term investment potential, 9.5. I scored higher in sexual compatibility, 8.5, and emotional labor willingness, 9 out of 10. Under exit strategy for E, post-MBA graduation, claim growing apart naturally, offer friendship to minimize social fallout, possible financial compensation if she threatens to go public. Financial compensation, like I was a business deal gone wrong that needed a settlement. I screenshotted everything, every page, every chart, every message. My phone storage was probably crying, but I didn't care. I needed evidence. I needed proof that this actually happened, because who the fuck would believe this without receipts? The worst part? At the bottom of the document, there was a section labeled Timeline for Transition. The target date for breaking up with me was December 31st. New year, new girlfriend. He'd been planning to dump me in exactly 73 days. But Valentina was getting impatient. That's what the messages were about. She wanted him to end things with his practice girlfriend now. Saturday, 7 a.m. I pretended to be asleep when Marcus knocked on the guest room door. My eyes were practically swollen shut from crying anyway, but I wasn't giving him the satisfaction of seeing that. My parents want to discuss breakfast arrangements, he said through the door, using his professional voice, the one he practiced for client calls. I didn't respond, just lay there clutching my phone with all its downloaded evidence. Then I heard Catherine's voice. Just leave her, Marcus. Valentina will be here at 9 anyway. Mom, not now, Marcus hissed. What? I thought you were finally ending this charade. Your father and I have been very patient, but the Ashford family is expecting an engagement by Christmas. The Ashfords. That must be Valentina's family. The name sounded like old money, hedge fund dynasty, probably owned a yacht named after their tax shelter. I know, Mom. I just need to handle this delicately. Emma's been useful. Useful. I was useful. Like a good vacuum cleaner or a reliable spreadsheet formula. Catherine actually laughed. Useful. That's one way to put it. Though I admit she has improved your social skills considerably. You were such an awkward boy before. They walked away, their voices fading as they discussed something about a transition timeline. Like I was a corporate merger that needed proper paperwork. I sat up, rage replacing devastation. These people had played me for 5 years. 5 fucking years of my life. Pretending to maybe accept me someday, when all along they knew I was just Marcus's practice round. I opened my laptop and started emailing myself everything, the screenshots, the documents, all of it. Then I got dressed in my best outfit, the one Marcus had once said made me look almost Upper East Side. Almost. Even his compliments came with qualifiers. I did my makeup perfectly, the way I'd learned from watching Valentina's Instagram tutorials. Oh yeah, I'd studied her page after finding everything. She had a whole highlight reel called Effortless Glam. The irony wasn't lost on me. Saturday, 9:15 a.m., and I walked into the dining room like I owned the place. Valentina was already there, hugging Marcus. She was even more perfect in person, tall, blonde, wearing a cream-colored dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent. The kind of woman who'd never taken the subway in her life. You must be Emma, she said warmly, like we were old friends. Marcus has told me so much about you. Thank you for keeping him company while I was in Paris. Keeping him company, like I was a fucking goldfish he'd been feeding while she was away. Marcus looked like he might vomit. Good. Richard, his father, didn't even look up from his Financial Times. Catherine was pouring mimosas like this was all perfectly normal, like her son's practice girlfriend and real girlfriend having brunch together was standard Saturday morning procedure. I sat down and smiled, my biggest smile. Valentina, Marcus has told me nothing about you, but your Instagram is very informative. She laughed. That rich girl laugh that sounds like wind chimes. Oh God, I'm such an oversharer on there. Did you see the pics from our trip to the Hamptons? She meant the weekend. Marcus had told me he was at a mandatory MBA retreat. No phones allowed, he'd said. Very strict about outside communication. I loved the matching swimsuits, I said sweetly. Very coupley. Marcus choked on his coffee. Actually choked. Catherine had to pat his back. I decided right then if I was going down, I was taking everyone with me. So, Valentina, I continued, buttering my croissant with the kind of calm that comes right before an explosion. How long have you and Marcus been together? Officially, I mean. She glanced at Marcus, then back at me. 2 years next month. Though we've known each other since we were children. Our families winter in Aspen together. Of course they did. 2 years, I repeated. Interesting. Marcus and I just celebrated our 5-year anniversary at Chateau Margaux. He gave the most beautiful speech about our future. Valentina's perfectly sculpted eyebrows furrowed. Chateau Margaux? Saturday, 9:45 a.m., and brunch had become a bloodbath. I was being aggressively pleasant while dropping bombs like it was D-Day. Oh, Valentina, did Marcus ever do that thing with you where he practices his speeches? I asked, spreading jam on my croissant with surgical precision. He did this beautiful proposal speech for me last month, pretended it was for his friend Mike, but it was so realistic, I actually cried. Valentina's face went from confused to alarmed. Proposal speech? I nodded, taking a sip of mimosa. And that weekend at the vineyard for our anniversary, he planned every detail. The rose petals on the bed, the specific wine he chose because it was from the year we met, that gorgeous suite overlooking the valley. Valentina turned to Marcus, her voice ice cold. You took her to Chateau Margaux? That's where you said we'd go for our engagement trip. Marcus was sweating now, like visible beads of perspiration on his perfect forehead. Val, baby, it's not. Oh, I exclaimed, pulling out my phone. Speaking of your engagement, Catherine, you must be so proud. Your son is so efficient, he's been running 2 parallel relationships for 2 years. The PowerPoints alone are MBA level impressive. Richard finally looked up from his newspaper. PowerPoints? This was it. The moment I'd been building to all morning. Oh yes, I said, airdropping the Google Doc to everyone's phones. The beauty of rich people, they all had the latest iPhones with AirDrop enabled. Would you like to see the spreadsheet where he compares Valentina and me across 40 metrics? Valentina, you'll be happy to know you scored 9.2 in genetic compatibility. I only got a 6.8. The silence was deafening. Everyone was looking at their phones now, reading Marcus's relationship manifesto. Even typing this out now, I'm getting angry all over again. The sheer audacity of this man treating women like we were business investments he could optimize. Valentina was scrolling, her face cycling through emotions like a slot machine. What the fuck is practice, Emma? She read aloud from her phone. A, too high value to risk losing through trial and error. E, provides safe environment for relationship skill development. Then she stood up, grabbed her mimosa, and threw it directly in Marcus's face. I'm too high value to practice on, she screamed. Saturday, 10:30 a.m., and the Whitmore dining room had become ground zero for the most satisfying explosion I'd ever witnessed. Catherine stood up so fast her chair scraped against the hardwood. This is inappropriate dinner conversation. I laughed. Actually laughed. It's breakfast, Catherine. Also, did you know Marcus scheduled his sexual experiences with me to build stamina and technique for V? There's a whole subcategory about it with performance metrics and improvement goals. Richard, stone-faced Richard, who'd barely acknowledged my existence in 5 years, actually looked impressed. You documented your sexual encounters? Marcus, still dripping with mimosa, looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. Dad, not now. But Valentina was reading from her phone, her voice getting louder with each word. E provides safe environment for skill development. Use E to test gift preferences before purchasing for V. E's lower expectations allow for mistake correction. She was crying now, mascara running in perfect black streams down her perfect cheekbones. 2 years. 2 fucking years of you telling me Emma was just your needy roommate who couldn't afford rent. That's when I stood up. Needy roommate? I pay $1,400 a month for that apartment. I've been paying half of everything while you've been buying her Cartier and testing your cheap knockoff gifts on me first. I headed for the door, then stopped for my final act. Oh, Marcus, check your LinkedIn. I tagged you in something interesting. I'd posted everything while they were still processing the airdrop. The documents, the spreadsheets, the WhatsApp group chat, screenshots, all of it. Tagged Wharton MBA program, Goldman Sachs recruiting, both families, and Valentina. The caption read, when your boyfriend treats relationships like McKinsey case studies, swipe for his actual PowerPoint about maximizing relationship ROI through parallel testing. Marcus's phone started exploding with notifications. The sound of LinkedIn alerts mixed with text messages, calls, emails, the complete digital meltdown of his carefully constructed life. Valentina was standing now, gathering her things. I'm too high value for this shit. She looked at me, and for just a moment, we weren't rivals. We were 2 women who'd been played by the same pathetic man. Emma, I'm sorry, I didn't know. I know, I said, and I meant it. Catherine was muttering something about damage control, and the Ashford family will never forgive this. Richard had gone back to his newspaper, but I caught him smirking behind it. Marcus tried one last desperate attempt. Emma, wait, this is my career, my future. You can't just... I can and I did, I said. Maybe you should have thought about that before you turned me into a fucking PowerPoint presentation. The last thing I heard as I walked out was Valentina screaming, a practice girlfriend? I'm dating someone who needed practice? The epilogue? Marcus lost the Goldman Sachs job offer when they saw the LinkedIn post. Turns out they don't love when potential analysts show that kind of judgment. Valentina dumped him, obviously, and her father, who sat on several boards, made sure Marcus's name was mud in New York finance circles. The WhatsApp group got screenshotted and shared around Wharton. Marcus became a meme, literally. Someone made a practice girlfriend template that went viral on MBA Twitter. Me? I kept the apartment. Marcus moved back in with his parents. I also kept the screenshots, which my lawyer said were incredibly helpful during our small claims case for the 5 years of financial abuse. Turns out keeping receipts for practice gifts while buying the real girlfriend diamonds is legally problematic. 6 months later, I'm dating a guy who doesn't even have Excel on his phone. He's never made a spreadsheet about anything, let alone our relationship. He just loves me. No metrics, No PowerPoints, no practice runs, just actual, messy, unoptimized love. A practice girlfriend. This man really sat down and made a 60-page document about using one woman to prepare for another woman, and his boys were all in on it. The WhatsApp group kills me every time. Imagine your friends supporting you, treating women like video game tutorials. The fact that he tested gifts on Emma before buying the real ones for Valentina, keeping receipts to compare, that's sociopathic behavior wrapped in MBA vocabulary. Marcus turned love into a business case study and lost everything when both women found out. Good. Some lessons need to be learned the hard way. 2 parallel relationships with PowerPoints and comparison metrics. This dude really treated love like a McKinsey case study. I need a second to process that. Alright, deep breath. Next up, we're heading into the digital world where apparently you can have a whole second family. What if your husband had a whole second wife and family in World of Warcraft, complete with a 4-year anniversary celebration and $8,000 spent from your kid's college fund? Yeah, that's what I discovered on his Discord. I'm Melissa, 31, registered nurse and mother, and my husband loved his virtual family more than his real one. Sunday, November 10th, 2:15 p.m. I was in the kitchen making Lily's favorite dinosaur-shaped sandwiches, the ones where you had to use the special cookie cutters I'd bought on Amazon at 2 a.m. during a particularly rough night shift. Tom's voice drifted from his home office, getting louder with each word. Heels on the tank. Where are my heels? Jesus. Jess. Save your cooldowns. Our modest 2-story house in suburban Ohio smelled like apple juice and that lavender cleaning spray I'd been using obsessively ever since Lily started preschool and became a walking petri dish of germs. Tom had been in his battle station, yes. He actually called it that since noon, his sacred Sunday raid time. Lily looked up from her coloring book, her little face scrunched with concern. Mommy, why does Daddy yell at his computer friends? I smoothed her dark hair, the same color as mine before the stress started adding silver streaks. Daddy's playing his dragon game, sweetie. It's very important to him. I didn't add that it was apparently more important than our planned trip to the park. Tom had promised he'd be done by 2. It was now 2:20, and from the sounds coming from his office, they were nowhere near finished. I pulled out my phone and texted him. Lily's waiting for park time. No response. But I could hear him laugh, that genuine, delighted laugh I hadn't heard directed at me in months. Jess, you're killing me. That's hilarious. Tell them about the time you accidentally pulled the whole dungeon. Jess. I'd been hearing that name a lot lately. Jess was apparently the guild's best healer, their raid coordinator, Tom's co-guild leader. Jess was funny. Jess was skilled. Jess understood the game. Lily reached for her juice box, and in that special way only 4-year-olds can manage, knocked it over with her elbow. Purple liquid spread across the table like a crime scene, flowing directly toward Tom's $200 mechanical keyboard he'd left there after breakfast. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Lily started crying, and my heart broke a little. Sunday, 2:25 p.m. I was grabbing paper towels while trying to console Lily. It's okay, baby. Accidents happen. Mommy's not mad. 2. The juice had already reached Tom's precious Razer keyboard, the one he'd spent 3 days researching, reading reviews, watching YouTube videos about. The one he'd made me drive to 4 different Best Buys to find because it had to be the exact model with the specific type of mechanical switches. Cherry MX Blue, if you care. I didn't, but I'd heard about them for a solid week. I unplugged the keyboard, flipped it over to drain, started pressing keys to see if they were sticky. Half of them weren't responding. Tom was going to lose his mind. That's when Tom's laptop screen lit up. He'd left it open on the kitchen table, and the movement from me cleaning must have woken it. Discord popped open automatically. I was about to close it when the channel list on the left side caught my eye. Among the normal gaming channels like Raid Strategies and Random Bullshit, there were 2 that made my stomach drop. Tom and Jess Forever with a heart emoji. Our Love Nest with a house emoji. Our Love Nest? What the fuck? I shouldn't have clicked. I knew I shouldn't have clicked, but my finger was already moving. The channel was full of messages between Thunder Tom, Tom's username since his college Diablo days, and Moonlight Jess. The latest one from Tom, sent just 30 minutes ago while I was making our daughter's lunch. Can't wait for tonight's ceremony, my love. 4 years deserve something special. 4 years. 4 years of what? I scrolled up, my hand shaking slightly. Messages from this morning. Moonlight Jess. Morning husband. Ready to slay dragons with your wife? Thunder Tom. Always my queen. Just have to deal with some real-life aggro first. Real-life aggro. That was us. Lily and I were real-life aggro. I stood there with dinosaur sandwiches in one hand and my daughter's juice-covered keyboard in the other, reading about my husband's 4-year anniversary with someone else. Sunday, 2:35 p.m. I was still frozen at the laptop, scrolling through what felt like an alternate universe. Lily had wandered into the living room to watch Bluey, leaving me alone with this digital bomb that had just detonated in my kitchen. The messages kept getting worse. There were screenshots. So many screenshots. 2 World of Warcraft characters in elaborate wedding attire, standing in what looked like a virtual cathedral. The timestamp made me want to throw up. June 15th, 2020. 4 years ago, when I was 6 months pregnant with Lily, on bed rest because of complications. I remembered that night specifically because I'd begged Tom to stay with me. I was scared, uncomfortable, couldn't sleep, but he'd said he needed to decompress with the guild after being stressed about my pregnancy. He'd gotten married. While I was lying in bed growing his actual child, he was getting married in a video game. More scrolling revealed elaborate roleplay messages that made me cringe and rage simultaneously. Thunder Tom takes Moonlight Jess's hand, kissing it gently. Every moment apart from you is agony, my beloved. Soon we'll never have to log off again. Who does something like that? Seriously? Sunday, 3 p.m. Tom emerged from his office, stretching like he'd just finished a workout instead of sitting on his ass for 3 hours. He walked into the kitchen, oblivious to the nuclear wasteland he was about to enter. Sorry, babe. Raid ran long. Jess was having connection issues, so we had to wait for her. He said it so casually. Jess? Like she was just another guild member, not his virtual wife of 4 fucking years. I forced my voice to stay normal, even though every cell in my body wanted to scream. No problem. Lily's watching TV. Tom grabbed a Coke from the fridge, not even noticing his keyboard sitting in a puddle of paper towels. Cool. I need to hop back on in 20. We're doing the anniversary event. I turned slowly, deliberately. Anniversary event? He wasn't even looking at me, scrolling through something on his phone. Yeah, Jess and I have been guild officers together for 4 years. The team planned this whole thing. Should be fun. Guild officers. Is that what they're calling it now? Tell me about Jess, I said, keeping my voice conversational, like I was asking about the weather. Tom shrugged, still not looking up. She's cool, plays a priest, lives in Colorado, I think. Why? Colorado, I think. Like he hadn't spent 4 years talking to this woman every single day. Like they hadn't planned a virtual dream home together. The lying came so easily to him. No hesitation, no tell well, except for the fact that he wouldn't make eye contact. I pulled up the Discord on his laptop and turned it toward him. Guild officers? Or your wife? His face went through about 17 different expressions in 3 seconds. Surprise, guilt, panic, and then, incredibly, annoyance. You went through my Discord? That's private, Mel. He wasn't denying it. He was mad, I found out. I should have walked away right then, but I was an idiot. Or maybe I just needed to hear him try to explain this away. Sunday, 3:20 p.m. We were having a whispered fight in the kitchen, while Lily watched TV in the next room, occasionally laughing at whatever Bluey and Bingo were up to. At least someone in this house was having a good day. It's not real, Mel. It's a game. Tom was doing that thing where he made me feel crazy for being upset. Gaslighting, my therapist would later call it. Everyone does this. It's totally normal. The wedding screenshots look pretty real, Tom. I pulled up the image of their virtual ceremony, complete with a full guild attendance and what looked like actual vows in the chat log. He rolled his eyes. Actually rolled his eyes at me. It's roleplay. Everyone does it. It's for buffs, married characters get experience bonuses. It's literally just stats. Stats? I pulled up another screenshot on my phone. I'd been taking photos while he was gone. So the message where you told her you dream about her is for experience bonuses? Tom tried to snatch my phone, but I pulled it back. You don't understand gaming culture. This is normal. Jess and I are friends. Our characters are married. It's totally different. Different. I read from my phone, Thunder Tom. Sometimes I wish First Life would just disappear and I could live in Azeroth with you forever. Tom scoffed, actually scoffed. That's in character. You're taking this out of context. God, Mel, you're being so dramatic about pixels on a screen. Pixels on a screen? 4 years of emotional investment, and it was just pixels on a screen. From the living room, Lily called out, Daddy, come watch Bluey with me. And this man who'd spent 4 years building a virtual life with another woman actually said, Daddy's busy, sweetheart, ask mommy. He was more concerned about defending his virtual marriage than comforting his real daughter. The audacity of this man was absolutely mind-blowing. If you're still listening to this insanity, consider subscribing. Trust me, what I did next was worth it. You're going back to your anniversary event? I asked, my voice dangerously calm. Yeah, people are expecting us. I can't just not show up. Us. He said us, and he wasn't talking about me. Monday, November 11th, 10 a.m. I'd called in sick to work, told them I had a stomach bug. Wasn't entirely a lie. I'd been nauseous since yesterday. Tom had gone to his IT job like nothing had happened, kissing me goodbye with the same perfunctory peck he'd been giving me for years. I was doing something I never thought I'd do, creating a World of Warcraft character. The game cost $15 a month plus $40 for the base game, $55 to spy on my husband's secret life. I'd spent more on worse things, I guess. I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop, Lily at preschool, house eerily quiet. The character creation screen stared back at me. I chose a hunter, seemed appropriate, since I was hunting for the truth. Named her Silent Arrow. Spent the next 3 hours learning how to move, how to fight, how to exist in this world that had stolen my husband. I googled how to join a guild, WOW, and found Tom's guild, Eternal Dragons of Chaos. They had a website, an actual website with forums and applications and a guild charter. The main page featured Tom and Jess's characters in an embrace labeled Our Fearless Leaders. There was a guild history post that made me want to vomit. Thunder Tom and Moonlight Jess's love story is legendary. From their meet cute in a dungeon to their fairy tale wedding, they're the heart of our guild family. Their dedication to each other and to the guild sets the standard for all our members. The heart of the guild family, while his actual family ate dinner alone most nights. I applied to join, lying that I was an experienced priest looking for a new home. Got accepted within an hour with a message. Welcome, always nice to have new healers. Tom and Jess will get you sorted tonight. That evening, I logged in. There they were in guild chat like nothing had happened. Like Tom hadn't been caught. Like we hadn't fought about this yesterday. Thunder Tom. Everyone welcome Silent Arrow to the family. Moonlight Jess. Welcome to the family. We're so glad you're here. The word family made me want to throw my laptop across the room. But I typed back, thanks. Happy to be here. Even typing this out now, I'm getting angry all over again. The ease with which he lived this double life, the fact that he went right back to it after I'd confronted him. Who does something like that? Seriously? Tuesday, November 12th, 8 p.m. Tom was on his scheduled raid night, and I was in bed with my laptop, logged into the game as Silent Arrow. I'd been lurking for 24 hours, learning the guild dynamics, and Jess was everywhere. Every conversation somehow circled back to her and Tom. Remember when Tom and Jess soloed that rare spawn? Tom and Jess's anniversary event this weekend is going to be epic. Jess, tell Tom his wife needs him in voice chat. That last one made my hands shake so bad I almost dropped the laptop. His wife. They all called her his wife. I joined voice chat with my microphone muted, just to listen. Tom's voice filled my earbuds, relaxed, happy, engaged in a way he hadn't been with me in years. Hey babe, I'm here, he said, and my stomach clenched before I realized he was talking to Jess. She giggled, actually giggled like a teenager. Finally, I was just telling everyone about our Paris plans. Paris plans? What Paris plans? Tom's voice got warm, excited. Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, Jess and I are finally meeting in person at the guild meetup in January. 5 years of marriage. About time we met face to face. The guild erupted in excitement. Someone said, "Oh my God, you two better get married for real." Tom laughed, and then said the words that made me run to the bathroom. Who says we won't? I barely made it to the toilet before throwing up. My husband was planning to meet his other wife while I thought he was going to a work conference. When I came back, they were still discussing it. Someone asked about logistics, and Tom explained he'd told his roommate it was an IT conference. His roommate. That's what I'd become. She won't even notice I'm gone, he added, and several people laughed. Looking back, this should have been the moment I packed my bags. But I needed more evidence. I needed to understand how deep this went. Thursday, November 14th, 9 p.m. I'd been playing obsessively, already level 30. Turns out I was actually good at this game. Who knew? The guild loved Silent Arrow. I was helpful, friendly, always volunteering for the boring support roles nobody wanted. Tonight, I was in a dungeon with Tom, Jess, and 2 others. Tom was being patient, explaining mechanics to me in detail. Great job, Silent. You're a natural. That interrupt was perfectly timed. If only he knew he was complimenting his wife on her gaming skills. The wife he'd told repeatedly that video games were too complicated for her to understand. After the dungeon, Jess private messaged me, "Isn't Tom the best? He's such an amazing husband." My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then I typed, "Husband? In game, you mean?" Her response came quickly. "Well, yes, but honestly, it's more than that. We talk every day. We know everything about each other. His roommate situation is complicated, but once that's resolved." Roommate situation. I was a situation to be resolved. Tell me more about this roommate, I typed, my heart pounding. Sweet, naive Jess, or maybe not so naive, spilled everything. She's this woman who got pregnant and trapped him. He stays for the kid, but they're basically just cohabitating. Separate bedrooms and everything. He's waiting until the kid's older to leave. It's so sad. He deserves real love. Separate bedrooms? We'd had sex literally 3 nights ago. Trapped him? We'd been trying for a baby for 2 years before Lily came along. I looked at my wedding ring, at the baby monitor showing Lily sleeping peacefully, at Tom in his office laughing into his headset. He was 3 doors away, but might as well have been on another planet. That sounds really hard for him, I typed, bile rising in my throat. It is, but he says I make it all worthwhile. Oh, did he tell you about Paris? I'm so nervous to meet him in person finally. That's so exciting, I typed back, taking screenshots of everything. You two seem perfect for each other. She sent a heart emoji. We really are. Sometimes I think we're more married than most real couples. Even typing this out now, I'm getting angry all over again. More married than most real couples? We had a mortgage together, a child, 7 years of actual, legal, real marriage. Saturday, November 16th, 2 p.m., the anniversary event. The entire 40-person guild was online for Tom and Jess's 4-year celebration. I was there on Silent Arrow, OBS recording everything because I'd learned my lesson about documentation. The guild had decorated an entire virtual cathedral. Someone had spent real money on virtual fireworks. There was a cake that gave stat buffs, specially crafted for the occasion. People had written speeches. Tom's speech made me physically ill. I sat in my bedroom, listening to my husband pour his heart out to another woman while our daughter watched Frozen in the living room. Jess, you've been my light in dark times, my strength when the real world gets too heavy. In this world, with you, I'm the man I always wanted to be. Every day, for 4 years, you've made me feel loved, valued, understood. I love you more than words can express, even if those words are just ones and zeros. The guild went wild with heart emojis and congratulations. My husband, the man who'd forgotten our last anniversary, had prepared a speech for his virtual wife. Jess responded, her voice thick with emotion. Tom, you're my everything. Every day I wake up excited to log in and see you. The miles between us don't matter because our hearts live here, together, in Azeroth. I can't wait until January, when I can finally hold my husband for real. Someone in guild chat asked, Tom, what does your roommate think about you coming to the meetup? Tom laughed. Actually laughed. She doesn't know. I told her it's an IT conference. She's too basic to understand our connection, anyway. Basic. He called me basic. The woman who'd supported him through unemployment, who'd learned to cook his mother's recipes, who'd given birth to his child, I was too basic to understand. I unmuted my microphone. The absolute audacity of this man was mind-blowing. Calling me basic while I was literally in the voice chat, listening to every word. Saturday, 2:25 p.m. The revelation. My voice came through clear in the Discord, cutting through the celebration like a knife. Hi everyone. I'm not actually Silent Arrow. I'm Melissa, Tom's wife. You know, the basic roommate he lives with? Dead silence. You could hear 40 people simultaneously stop breathing. Then the chaos started. Guild chat exploded. People typing over each other, voice chat erupting in gasps and what the fuck and oh shit. I shared my screen, already prepared with the evidence. This is our wedding photo from 7 years ago. Click. This is our daughter Lily's birth certificate with Tom listed as the father. Click. This is our mortgage with both our names. Click. And this is a photo from last month, us carving pumpkins as a family. Tom's wearing his Eternal Dragons Guild shirt. Tom's been lying to all of you. We're not roommates. We're not separated. We literally had sex 3 nights ago. That was a lie. Our bedroom had been dead for months, but they didn't need to know that. Jess's character went offline instantly. Just vanished. No goodbye, no words, just gone. Tom's voice cracked through the Discord. Mel, what the fuck are you doing? This is my space. Your space? I laughed, and it sounded unhinged even to me. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I invading your space? Like you invaded our savings account? Someone in guild chat typed, savings account? Oh, you didn't know? I shared more screenshots. $8,000 in in-game purchases. Mounts, pets, appearance items, game time gifts. $8,000. That was our daughter's college fund. The guild chat went insane. 8,000? What the actual fuck, Tom? Is this real? You have a kid? Tom tried damage control, his voice desperate. This is complicated. You don't understand the situation. Complicated? I cut him off. Let me uncomplicate it for everyone. Tom was on voice chat with Jess during our daughter's 4th birthday party. He raided during our anniversary dinner. He was organizing this virtual wedding during my father's funeral. Several people gasped. Someone typed, "During a funeral? Jesus Christ, Tom. He told you all I was a crazy ex, right? Or a roommate who trapped him? Here's the truth. I'm a registered nurse who works 12-hour shifts to support our family while he spends 40 hours a week in this game. I'm the one who takes Lily to school, to soccer, to doctor appointments, while he's planning virtual dates in Silver Moon City." More guild members started typing, "Tom, you said she was abusive. You told us you were basically divorced. A child? You have a fucking child? You said you were single when we started dating." That was from someone named Rose, Warrior. Wait, what? I clicked on Rose, Warrior's profile. Another female guild member. Had he done this before? The January meetup, I continued, my voice steady now. That's the weekend of our daughter's dance recital, but I guess his fake wife is more important than his real daughter's first recital. Tom's character started moving toward mine in the game, like he could somehow stop me with his virtual warrior. Mel, stop, please. You're ruining everything. I'm ruining everything? Tom, you checked out of our marriage 4 years ago for a woman you've never met. You spent our daughter's college fund on virtual horses. You called me basic to 40 strangers while I was listening. The guild leader, someone named Dragon Knight, finally spoke. Tom, is this all true? Tom's silence was answer enough. I'm done, I said. Enjoy your virtual life, Tom. We'll discuss the real divorce on Monday. I logged off as the guild chat descended into chaos. Tom's character stood alone where mine had disappeared, and according to the screenshots people sent me later, the guild immediately started kicking him. Jess never came back online. My phone exploded with texts from Tom. How could you do this? You destroyed everything. The guild kicked me. Jess blocked me on everything. This is your fault. Not, I'm sorry. Not, let me explain. Not, how's Lily? Just anger that his virtual world had collapsed. He lost his guild, his game wife, and ultimately half his assets in the divorce. But the only thing he seemed to mourn was his character's reputation on the server. He tried to join other guilds, but the story had spread. Someone had posted the whole thing on the WoW forums. He became server famous as that asshole who abandoned his kid for ERP, erotic roleplay, I learned. The divorce was finalized 6 months later. Tom fought harder for his gaming computer than he did for custody of Lily. He sees her every other weekend now, when he remembers. She's 6 now and barely knows him. Looking back, the signs were there for years. The way he'd light up at his computer but look dead-eyed at dinner. How he knew every detail of Jess's virtual life but forgot our daughter's middle name on medical forms. I wasn't competing with another woman. I was competing with an entire fantasy world where he could be someone else. The truth is, I'm grateful to Jess in a weird way. If she hadn't existed, I might have stayed in that marriage forever, making dinosaur sandwiches for a child whose father loved his virtual family more than his real one. A virtual wife. A whole-ass virtual wife with a virtual house and virtual anniversary celebrations while his actual wife and child were in the next room, and the guild thought it was romantic. They were celebrating this man having an online marriage while his real kid was asking why daddy loved his computer more than her. But you know what? At least Tom's deception was limited to a fantasy world. My friend David discovered his girlfriend was running an entire psychological experiment on him. Like, with spreadsheets and success metrics and a 60-test protocol. I'm not exaggerating. This woman tested his loyalty 60 times. She had graphs. So, David was this personal trainer in Chicago, dating this girl Aria who seemed perfect at first, who writes virtual love letters while their pregnant wife is in the next room. I clicked on another channel, Guild Family Photos, because apparently they had family photos. Hundreds of screenshots filled my screen. Tom and Jess's characters in matching armor sets that probably cost hundreds of hours to obtain. Screenshots labeled Anniversary Dinner in Dalaran and Sunset in Nagrand and Our First Home Together. There was even one labeled Tom and Jess's Dream Home, showing an in-game house decorated with their couple portraits, screenshots of their characters positioned to look like they were kissing. Lily tugged on my shirt, breaking my spiral. Mommy, can we go to park now? My voice came out strange, like I was talking underwater. In a minute, sweetie. Go watch Bluey, okay? The one with the ice cream. She toddled off, and I kept scrolling. There was a screenshot from last month labeled Date Night in Silver Moon City. Last month, when Tom had said he needed to focus on a important guild progression raid. He'd missed Lily's first soccer practice for a date night in a fictional city with his fictional wife. Tom called his wife basic to 40 strangers while she was secretly listening in their guild chat, called her his roommate situation that needed resolving. This man crafted virtual wedding vows while his actual wife made dinosaur sandwiches for their daughter. He attended his game wife's 4-year anniversary during his real daughter's birthday party. The guild thought their love story was legendary, two people who'd never met, living out a fantasy while real lives crumbled around them. When Melissa exposed everything, Tom didn't mourn his family. He mourned his character's reputation on the server. Sometimes the person sleeping next to you is living their real life somewhere else entirely, but virtual betrayal seems almost quaint compared to David's story. His girlfriend tested his loyalty 60 times. She had graphs. Imagine finding out that bartender who wouldn't leave you alone at your friend's bachelor party was hired by your girlfriend. Along with 17 other major loyalty tests, she'd been running like a science experiment. Yeah, that was my Friday morning revelation. I'm David, 27, and my girlfriend had turned our entire relationship into data points and success metrics. Monday, December 2nd, 6:15 a.m. I was setting up the free weights at Apex Fitness, the familiar smell of disinfectant and rubber mats filling my nose. It's weird how comforting that smell had become after 3 years of opening the gym every weekday morning. My phone buzzed with Aria's morning text. "Good morning, baby. Remember dinner at 7:30. Love you." Followed by 3 heart emojis and 2 eye emojis. The eye emojis were new. She'd been adding those lately, always watching, always making sure I knew she was thinking about me. I smiled and texted back immediately. Had to. If I didn't respond within 5 minutes, she'd get anxious, start asking if everything was okay, if I was upset with her. We had rules in our relationship. Location sharing always on. Texts answered within 5 minutes. No female friends on social media. I deleted Instagram entirely 6 months ago to avoid the argument, and video calls during lunch breaks to check in. At the time I thought it was sweet. She just loved me so much, wanted to be part of my day. Looking back, this should have been my first red flag. But when you're in it, you explain everything away. My first client had canceled flu season, so I was reorganizing the equipment when Carlos, the manager, walked over. "Hey, you've got a new client consultation at 7. Sophie something. She specifically requested you." I checked the schedule on the tablet. Sophie Martinez, 25, looking for intensive training. "She say why she wanted me specifically?" I asked. Carlos shrugged. "Said she heard you were the best. You're building quite a reputation, man." At 6:58, she walked in. Expensive Lululemon everything. Long brown hair in one of those purposefully messy buns. That kind of confidence that comes from knowing you look good and knowing everyone else knows it too. She seemed familiar somehow, but I couldn't place it. Maybe she'd been in before? We got a lot of foot traffic. "You must be David," she said, extending her hand. Her handshake was firm, her eyes holding mine a beat too long. "That's me. Ready to talk about your fitness goals?" Monday, 7 a.m., consultation room. Sophie sat across from me, leaning forward just a bit too much. The small table between us suddenly felt insufficient. "So, David," she said, playing with her hair, "I heard you're the best trainer here." "Very. Hands-on." The way she said, "hands-on," felt loaded. Like we were having a different conversation than the one about squats and protein intake. I shifted back in my chair, maintaining professional distance. "I focus on form and safety. What are your fitness goals?" She touched her collarbone, fingers trailing along the gold necklace there. "I want to be more flexible. Do you do stretching sessions, private ones?" I pulled out my standard forms, focusing on the paperwork instead of the way she was looking at me. "All sessions are in the public gym area. I should mention I have a girlfriend. I like to be transparent about boundaries with all clients." Her face flickered with something disappointment, annoyance, but it was gone in an instant, replaced with a bright smile. "Of course. How long have you been together?" 2 years next month. I pulled out my phone, showing her my lock screen, me and Aria at the beach last summer, her laughing at something I'd said. Sophie stared at the photo a beat too long. "She's beautiful. You must really love her." "I do." I put my phone away, getting us back on track. "Now, let's discuss your training schedule." She booked 3 sessions a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, always at 7 a.m. As she was leaving, she touched my arm, just briefly, but deliberately. "I'm excited to see what you can do for me." I should have noticed how she emphasized "for me," but I was just thinking about keeping professional boundaries, about how I'd mention this new client to Aria so she wouldn't worry. "See you Wednesday," I said, already making a mental note to wear my least flattering gym clothes. Wednesday, December 4th, 7:10 a.m. Second session with Sophie, and she'd apparently decided subtlety was overrated. She showed up in a sports bra that was basically just string and leggings that left nothing to imagination. "David," she called out, loud enough for half the gym to hear. "I'm so sore from Monday. Maybe you could help me stretch?" She bent over to touch her toes, looking back at me over her shoulder. I handed her a foam roller from a safe distance. This will help. I'll demonstrate on my own mat from over here. She pouted. Actually pouted like a child who'd been denied candy. But don't you need to check my form? I can see perfectly from here. Your form's fine. My phone buzzed. Arya, how's your morning? Any new clients? I texted back quickly. Just regular sessions. Thinking of you. Sophie noticed the exchange. Girlfriend checking in? She likes to know I'm safe. Sophie laughed, the sound sharp. Safe from what? Dangerous barbells? During squats, she kept moving closer, accidentally, backing into me when she stood up. I stepped away, maintaining at least 3 feet of distance. Let's maintain proper spacing. Safety first. She tried again during the cool-down stretches. My hip flexor is so tight. Don't trainers usually help with that? Who does something like that? Seriously? She knew I had a girlfriend. I'd literally shown her a photo, and here she was acting like this was a singles bar instead of a gym. I pointed to the poster on the wall. Here's a diagram of self-stretches. I don't do hands-on adjustments with female clients. Policy. Actually, it wasn't gym policy, it was Arya's policy. She'd made it very clear after the incident with a client named Rebecca 6 months ago. Rebecca had just been correcting my form during a demonstration, but Arya had seen it on the security footage when she'd stopped by to surprise me with lunch. The fight that followed lasted 3 days. Your girlfriend must be very protective, Sophie said, like she was reading my mind. She just knows boundaries are important in professional relationships. Sophie's smile was predatory. Some boundaries are meant to be pushed. Looking back, I should have ended the training relationship right there. But I needed the money. Arya's birthday was coming up and she'd been dropping hints about some designer bag, and I figured I could handle one overly flirtatious client. I had no idea I was failing a test I didn't even know I was taking. Friday, December 6th, 7:20 a.m. Sophie had apparently decided this was her final boss battle. She showed up in what could generously be called workout wear, but was basically a bikini with delusions of grandeur. David, she said, wincing dramatically. I pulled something in my back. Right here. Right here. Before I could react, she grabbed my hand and tried to place it on her lower back, right above the waistband of her barely there leggings. I pulled my hand away like I'd touched a hot stove. If you're injured, you need to see a physical therapist. I can recommend one. She stepped closer, backing me up against the weight rack. But you have such strong hands. I bet your girlfriend loves them. The way she said it made my skin crawl. This wasn't just flirting anymore, this was aggressive. Sophie, this is inappropriate. If you continue, I'll have to transfer you to another trainer. She bit her lip, looking up at me through her lashes. What if I don't want another trainer? What if I want you? My voice came out firm, maybe even a little harsh. Then you'll need to find another gym. I'm here to train clients, nothing else. I love my girlfriend. This conversation is over. That's when her face just, crumbled. Like someone had pulled the plug on whatever was keeping her together. She started crying, not the pretty, single-tear kind you see in movies, but ugly, snotty, sobbing. I'm sorry, she gasped between sobs. I'm so sorry. I can't do this anymore. I was completely confused. Do what anymore? The next words out of her mouth rewired my entire understanding of the past 2 years. Arya hired me. She's paying me $2,000 to seduce you. At Friday, 7:25 a.m., still in the corner of the gym. Sophie was sobbing while I stood there feeling like someone had hit me with a sledgehammer. What? My voice didn't sound like mine. Sophie pulled out her phone with shaking hands. Look, here's everything. She showed me a Venmo payment from Arya, $1,000 with the note, half now, half when complete. The timestamp was 3 weeks ago. Then came the text messages. So many text messages. Arya, he works out at Apex, usually early mornings. Approach him for training. Arya, wear the purple sports bra. He mentioned once that purple was sexy. Arya, touch him casually. Gauge reaction. Arya, today try direct proposition. My stomach churned as I read more. Arya had sent Sophie my whole schedule. My favorite coffee order, topics to bring up, even photos of women I'd find attractive, for reference. There was an actual script for conversations. I'm Jake's sister, Sophie said, wiping her nose. Her ex-boyfriend? She found me on Facebook, said she needed to know if you were faithful. I need the money for student loans, but I can't do this. You're a good guy. You keep talking about her, showing her picture. You love her and she's doing this. I scrolled through Sophie's daily reports to Arya, yesterday's, no physical contact achieved, target remains resistant. Target. I was a target. Arya's response. Increase physical aggression. Offer affair explicitly. There's more, Sophie said. She's done this before, multiple times. Even typing this out now, I'm getting angry all over again. The woman I loved, who I was planning to propose to on New Year's Eve, had hired someone to try to destroy our relationship. Why are you telling me this? I asked Sophie. She looked at me with red, puffy eyes. Because you reminded me of my brother, the way you talked about Arya, all protective and proud. Jake loved her like that too before she broke him with these mind games. I can't watch it happen again. Friday, 8 a.m. We were in my car in the parking lot. Sophie was showing me everything on her phone, and each revelation was worse than the last. She has this whole system, Sophie said, pulling up a shared Google Doc titled Operation Loyalty Test, David. There were 17 entries. 17. Number 1, dated 6 months ago, wrong number text with photos. I remembered that. Some random number had sent me nudes. I'd immediately deleted and blocked them, then told Arya about it. She'd praised me for being honest. That was her. She'd sent those photos to test me. Number 7, wedding test, cousin Natalie. My friend Mark's wedding, where Arya was, sick with food poisoning. Her cousin Natalie had hit on me so aggressively, I'd spent the whole night in my car to avoid her. I'd felt guilty that Arya missed the wedding because of bad sushi. There was no food poisoning. Number 12, massage proposition, coworker Rebecca. A client had offered me $500 for a happy ending 2 months ago. I'd reported her to management, got her banned from the gym. That was Arya's coworker. Sophie scrolled through the document. She rates each test. You got a 98% faithfulness score last month. There were notes next to each test. David mentioned purple is sexy, incorporate into next test. Weak point responds to emotional vulnerability. Best testing window. 7 to 8 a.m. when guard is lower. My girlfriend had gamified testing my loyalty like I was a lab rat in her personal experiment. Look at this, Sophie said, pulling up another page. It was a spreadsheet comparing my responses to other boyfriends. I was listed as Subject 3. Jake was Subject 1 with a failure at Test 3. Someone named Marcus was Subject 2 who made it to Test 9. I was the highest performing subject at 17 past tests. Who does something like that? Seriously? Who turns their relationship into a science experiment? She posted about this online, Sophie said, showing me a Reddit thread. Username, trustbut, verify. 22. My boyfriend passed 15 loyalty tests. Is this enough to trust him? The comments ranged from, you're psycho, seek help, to smart girl, test him more. Arya had replied to the supportive ones, thanks, planning to test monthly until marriage, then quarterly after. She planned to do this forever. Our entire future was going to be one long series of tests I didn't know I was taking. Friday, 9:30 a.m. I was back at my apartment, having called in sick for my remaining sessions. I couldn't stop reading through Arya's documents that Sophie had forwarded to me. Each new discovery felt like another punch to the gut. I found a spreadsheet titled Comparative Analysis, David versus Baseline. She wasn't just testing me, she was comparing me to her previous boyfriends, like we were competing in some twisted reality show. Jake, the ex whose sister had just blown up my world, had failed at test number 3. Someone named Marcus made it to test 9 before critical failure. KISS test subject. I was the highest performing subject at 17 past tests and counting. There was a whole section of notes about my behavioral patterns. David shows 92% consistency in rejection methods. Physical retreat preferred over verbal confrontation. Mentions girlfriend within first 3 minutes of inappropriate contact. I found her Pinterest board titled Loyalty Test Ideas. 63 pins, 63 different ways to test if your boyfriend would cheat. Hire a bartender to flirt. Create fake dating profile to see if he swipes. Send friend to gym in revealing clothes. Stage emergency during boys' night. She'd been shopping for ways to trick me like some people shop for throw pillows. I texted my best friend Mike, dude, remember when that bartender wouldn't leave me alone at your bachelor party? Mike, yeah, you literally hid in the bathroom. Why? That was Arya. What? Looking back, this should have been obvious. The bartender knew my name, my drink order, kept touching my arm and asking about my relationship status. I'd spent half the night in the bathroom and the other half in the parking lot. Arya had been so understanding when I told her about it. Of course she was understanding. She'd orchestrated the whole thing. Friday, 2 p.m. Arya came home early from work. She tracked my location, knew I was home sick. The door opened and her voice rang out, cheerful as always. Baby, I brought soup. Why aren't you in bed? She was carrying tom yum from my favorite Thai place. The one that's 40 minutes away. Any other day, this gesture would have melted my heart. I was on the couch with my laptop open. Sophie Martinez says hi. Arya froze in the doorway, soup container still in her hand. Who? I turned the laptop toward her, showing her own Google Doc. Sophie Martinez, test subject number 17. She broke down and told me everything. Aria's face went through a whole journey. Surprise, calculation, then confusion. I don't understand why she would break protocol. Break protocol. Like Sophie was a malfunctioning robot instead of a human being with a conscience. Aria, you hired your ex's sister to seduce me. She set down the soup carefully, like we were having a normal conversation. I needed to know you were loyal. Do you know how many men cheat? 60%. But not you, baby. You passed every test. You're perfect. She was smiling, actually smiling, like she'd just given me the best news of my life. Who does something like that? Seriously? She'd just been caught running a 2-year psychological experiment on me, and she was proud of it. Every test? How many were there? Aria pulled out her phone, swiping to a calendar app. 17 major ones, 43 minor ones, if you count the Instagram thirst traps I had friends send. The calendar was color-coded, red for test days, green for passes. It was all green, a perfect score. See, she said, holding it up like a report card. You're 100% faithful. We can trust each other completely now. Trust each other? I stood up, needing distance. Aria, you've been lying to me for 2 years. I wasn't lying, she said, looking genuinely confused. I was testing. There's a difference. Friday, 2:30 p.m. The confrontation was escalating, and Aria seemed genuinely baffled by my anger. You tested me 60 times? I was pacing now, couldn't stand still. Don't you see? This proves you're the one. Jake failed immediately. Marcus lasted 2 months. But you're special, David. You're at the 99th percentile of faithful partners. You compared me to your ex in a spreadsheet. To show you're better, she pulled up charts on her phone, actual graphs comparing our performance metrics. Look, you scored 40% higher in consistency, 60% higher in resistance to physical temptation, and 90% higher in emotional faithfulness. The doorbell rang. It was Sophie. I'd asked her to come as a witness, partly because I knew Aria would try to gaslight me later, make me think I'd overreacted. Aria saw her, and her demeanor changed instantly. You were supposed to complete the assignment. Sophie looked horrified. Assignment? He's a person, not a homework project. Aria turned back to me, her voice taking on a teaching tone, like she was explaining something to a child. I don't understand the problem. You passed. I can trust you now. We can move forward with our relationship. I laughed, but it came out hollow. Trust me, you've been lying to me for 2 years. I wasn't lying. I was testing. There's a difference. She genuinely believed this. In her mind, there was nothing wrong with what she'd done. What about after marriage? After kids? I asked, dreading the answer. Aria brightened like I'd finally understood. Oh, I have a whole post-marriage protocol planned. Less frequent testing, maybe quarterly, unless you travel for work. Then we'd need to increase frequency. She said it like she was describing a dental cleaning schedule, not psychological torture. Even typing this out now, I'm getting angry all over again. She had a post-marriage protocol. She was planning to test me for the rest of our lives. Aria, this is sick. You need help. Her face fell. You don't appreciate what I've done for us. I've proven you're trustworthy. Do you know how rare that is? The absolute audacity of this woman was mind-blowing. She'd violated my trust in every possible way and was acting like she'd done me a favor. Friday, 3 p.m., the breakup. I was packing while Aria followed me from room to room like a malfunctioning robot stuck on a loop. But you passed, she kept saying. Do you know how rare that is? You're in the 99th percentile of faithful partners. Aria, I'm leaving. But I have data proving we're perfect together. She was frantically scrolling through her phone, showing me spreadsheet after spreadsheet. Look, your response time to my texts averages 2.3 minutes. That's optimal. Your affection frequency is consistent at 4.7 gestures per day. I stopped packing. You track my affection gestures? Of course. How else would I know if your feelings are declining? She showed me another graph, David's love metrics, with subcategories for physical touch, verbal affirmations, acts of service. She'd been scoring every hug, every I love you, every time I made her coffee. Sophie was recording everything on her phone at my request for the restraining order I knew I'd need. Aria noticed. Why is she recording? Evidence for the restraining order. Aria's face crumbled, but not in a normal way. It was like watching a computer crash. Restraining order? But I love you. I tested you because I love you. You tested me because you're sick, Aria. She made one last desperate attempt. I can show you past the ultimate test. I had my most attractive friend from college fly in next week. You would have passed that too. I know it. She had someone flying in. She'd bought plane tickets to test me. I walked out with one suitcase. Arya's final words echoed down the hallway. Your faithfulness score is perfect. Perfect. You'll never find someone who appreciates that like I do. 6 months later, I got a text from an unknown number. Hi, this is Brandon. You dated Arya Chen? She just sent her sister to my gym to test me. How did you handle this? I texted back. Run. Run now. Brandon. She showed me spreadsheets proving I'm the one. That normal? Nothing about Arya is normal. Change your locks. Brandon. She already made me a PowerPoint about our future children's names based on genetic compatibility scores. Dude. Run. 60 tests. A Pinterest board of loyalty traps. Spreadsheets comparing boyfriend performance like they're competing smartphones. Arya turned love into a data science project, complete with post-marriage testing protocols and quarterly assessments. She genuinely believed she'd done David a favor by proving he was in the 99th percentile of faithful partners. The most chilling part? She tracked his affection gestures, every hug scored, every I love you graphed. When David left, she couldn't understand why her perfect data couldn't save them. 6 months later, she was already running the same experiments on Brandon, complete with PowerPoint presentations about genetically optimized baby names. Some people collect stamps. Arya collected boyfriend loyalty metrics. But if you think that's controlling, wait till you hear what happens when someone decides your career is optional. 47 job rejections in 2 years. Every interviewer loved me, then silence. Turns out my fiancé was calling them the next day as former colleagues warning about my fictional drug problems and criminal charges. Yeah, I have the receipts. I'm Ryan, 29, and Monica had a color-coded spreadsheet tracking which lies she told to which company. Thursday, January 9th, 6:45 p.m. I was nursing my third beer at O'Malley's, the dive bar that had become my second home since the rejections started piling up. The place smelled like stale peanuts and broken dreams fitting, since that's basically what I'd become. Carlos slid into the booth across from me. Rough day. I laughed, but it came out bitter. Got rejected from Brennan Marketing. The interviewer loved me, said I was perfect for the role. Then, nothing. That's 47 rejections now, man. 47. Carlos shifted uncomfortably, pulling out his phone. Actually, about Brennan. What about them? I wasn't supposed to see this, but I was fixing their ATS system today. He turned his phone toward me. Your file had a note. I read it 3 times before it sank in. Reference Monica Hayworth called, warned about candidates' alcohol dependency and anger management issues. Do not proceed. My hand started shaking as I set down my beer. Monica, that's my fiancé, and she's Monica Chen, not Hayworth. Carlos's face was grim. Bro, there's more. She called them the day after your interview. 2 years. 2 years of failures, and suddenly I was seeing them in a completely different light. Thursday, 8 p.m., still at O'Malley's. Carlos had his laptop out now, pulling up screenshots from companies where he had system access. Jensen Corp, Dataflow, Market Pro, they all have similar notes. He turned the screen toward me. Former colleague warned of theft allegations. Reference check revealed history of sexual harassment. Candidate has pending drug charges. Each one was attributed to different names. Monica Hayworth, Jennifer Mills, Sarah Park. But Carlos zoomed in on the phone numbers. Look at this, the last 4 digits are always the same. 7359. I knew those numbers. That's Monica's burner phone. She keeps it for real estate safety when meeting clients. The pieces were clicking together like the world's most fucked up puzzle. Carlos, I interviewed at Dataflow on a Tuesday. Monica called in sick Wednesday to take care of me because I was so depressed about not hearing back. Carlos pulled up the call log. She called them at 2:17 p.m. that Wednesday. I remembered that day perfectly. Monica bringing me homemade soup, holding me while I cried about another rejection, telling me everything would work out. She comforted me for the pain she was causing, fed me soup with one hand while stabbing me in the back with the other. Looking back, this should have been obvious. Every interview that went well, Monica would suddenly get sick the next day. Every time. Thursday, 10:30 p.m. I was sitting in my car outside the townhouse Monica and I shared, watching her through the window. She was on her laptop, probably working on real estate listings. Looking so normal, beautiful, successful. The woman who'd been supporting me through the hardest time of my life. I texted her, working late with Carlos, don't wait up. She responded immediately. No problem, baby. Made your favorite lasagna. It's in the fridge. Love you. We'll get through this job search together. Together. The word made me want to throw my phone. I waited until midnight, then crept into the house. Monica was asleep, her laptop still on the kitchen counter. The password was our anniversary date. She was sentimental like that. Or maybe it was just another form of control. I searched her email for Ryan interview. Nothing. Tried the fake names Carlos had found. Nothing. Then I remembered Monica used different browsers for different things. Her real estate stuff in Chrome, personal in Safari. I opened Firefox. Bingo. An entirely different email account, monicaprotects@gmail. The inbox was full of sent confirmations. Subject lines like urgent, regarding Ryan Mitchell, and confidential reference information. My fiancé had a dedicated email account for destroying my career. Who does something like that, seriously? Friday, January 10th, 12:45 a.m., still at Monica's laptop. I was reading through emails she'd sent to companies, and each one was worse than the last. Dear hiring manager, I feel morally obligated to warn you about Ryan Mitchell. While we worked together at his previous company, he displayed concerning behavior, including stealing client lists and inappropriate conduct toward female colleagues. I cannot, in good conscience, remain silent. Signed, Jennifer Mills, former colleague. There were dozens of these, each one tailored to the specific company, using details from my resume to seem credible. She'd told Tech Solutions about my cocaine problem that became apparent during client meetings, warned brand partners about pending litigation for embezzlement. She'd even created a fake LinkedIn profile for Jennifer Mills, complete with a work history that overlapped with mine at Hayes Digital. The attention to detail was horrifying. In her draft folder, I found templates, concerned colleague script, anonymous warning script, reference check sabotage script. There was a spreadsheet tracking which lies she told to which company. My fiancé had a whole system for destroying my career. She probably spent more time sabotaging my job search than I spent on the actual search. The spreadsheet had color coding: green for successfully deterred, yellow for follow-up needed, red for high risk, may still hire. Brennan Marketing was marked red with a note, very interested despite warning, may need escalation. Friday, 1:30 a.m. I found a folder labeled insurance policies, thinking it was real estate stuff. It wasn't. Inside was a subfolder, operation dependent. My blood ran cold as I opened a Word document titled Ryan Career Management Strategy. It read like a business plan for destroying me. Objective: maintain financial dependency to ensure relationship security. Method: systematic intervention in job acquisition attempts. Timeline: indefinitely until marriage. Then reassess. There were phases. Phase 1, subtle discouragement. Phase 2, active intervention. Phase 3, complete dependency achieved, current status. Under risk mitigation, she'd written, if R discovers interference, claim mental health crisis, offer couples therapy, last resort, pregnancy trap. She was planning to baby trap me if I found out. Another document, financial control metrics. She'd been tracking my dwindling savings, my increasing reliance on her income, even my credit score decline. There was a graph showing Ryan's independence decreasing over time, with a note, optimal dependency achieved at 18 months, currently at month 22, exceeding targets. Even typing this out now, I'm getting angry all over again. She had KPIs for destroying my life, key performance indicators for keeping me trapped. Friday, 9 a.m., I hadn't slept. Monica left for work at 7:30, kissing me goodbye with her usual, keep your chin up, baby. Something will come through soon. I wanted to scream. Instead, I smiled and waved like the well-trained hostage I'd become. Now I was calling companies with Carlos on speaker for moral support. Hi, this is Ryan Mitchell. I recently interviewed for the senior marketing role. I've discovered someone has been impersonating references and providing false information about me. The HR person at Brennan was skeptical until I provided Monica's burner number. Check if this number called you. The person is my fiancé, who's been sabotaging my job search. Long pause. Sir, we'll need to review this and call you back. They all said that. By noon, I'd contacted 23 companies. Then my phone started ringing. Unknown number. Mr. Mitchell, this is TechFlow's HR director. We'd like to discuss the senior marketing position with you again. It appears there was interference in our initial decision. Then another call. DataBridge. Then Jensen Corp. Turns out companies really don't like being lied to. Who would have thought? Carlos was keeping a tally on a napkin. That's 6 callbacks in an hour, bro. My phone buzzed with a text from Monica. How's your day going, baby? Any responses yet? The audacity of this woman was absolutely mind-blowing. Friday, 2 p.m. I was going through Monica's physical files while she was at a showing. Behind the tax documents, I found a manila folder that made my heart stop. Inside were printed emails from my actual inbox that I'd never seen. Job offers, 3 of them. Streamline marketing. Pleased to offer you the position at $85,000 per year. Sent 6 months ago. DataBridge Inc. Excited to welcome you to our team at $90,000 per year. Sent 4 months ago. Pinnacle Advertising. Your start date of November 1st has been confirmed. Salary, $95,000. She'd intercepted them all. Her handwritten notes were paper-clipped to each one. Declined Streamline. Told them he accepted another offer. DataBridge. Family emergency. Moving out of state. Pinnacle. Sudden health issues. Under the Pinnacle note she'd written, sent thank you from ours email expressing appreciation for their understanding about cancer diagnosis. Cancer. She told them I had cancer rather than let me have a job. My phone buzzed. Monica. Hey baby, showing went great. Want to celebrate with lunch? I know job hunting is hard, but I've got us covered. I texted back. Can't wait to celebrate with you. Looking back, I should have just left right then, packed my stuff and disappeared, but I needed her to know that I knew. I needed to see her face when she realized she'd been caught. Friday, 5:30 p.m., Monica came home with champagne, practically dancing through the door. Sold a $2 million house, commission's going to be huge. We can push the wedding to somewhere fancy now. I was sitting at the kitchen table with all the evidence spread out like a crime scene. Screenshots, printed emails, her handwritten notes, everything. We need to talk about my job search. Her face did this micro expression of panic before settling into concern. Of course, baby. Did something happen? I slid the Brennan marketing screenshot across the table. They said someone named Monica Hayworth called about my drinking problem. She didn't even look at it. That's weird. Must be a mix-up. Really? Because Monica Hayworth also called Dataflow about my drug problem, and Jensen Corp about my theft problem. Her hand went to her phone. This is crazy. Someone's obviously trying to frame me. I pulled out her burner phone from my pocket. I'd found it in her car. Someone with this phone? Her mask finally cracked. That's not mine, or, I can explain. Just, you went through my things? The fact that she was mad about me snooping instead of denying the sabotage told me everything. Who does something like that? Seriously? Your fiancé discovers you've been destroying his life and you're upset about privacy? Friday, 6 p.m. The full confrontation. Monica was crying, but they were those manipulative tears that don't quite reach the eyes. You don't understand the pressure I'm under. My ex left me the day he got promoted to partner. Said I wasn't partner material. I couldn't lose you too. I showed her the operation dependent folder. So you decided to destroy my career? I was protecting us, protecting our relationship. By telling companies I'm a drug addict, she switched tactics. Okay, yes, I made some calls, but only because I love you so much. Don't you see? We're happy now. I take care of you, you take care of the house, it's perfect. I showed her the intercepted job offers. $95,000, Monica. You cost me $95,000 a year. She actually said, but you don't need that money. I make enough for both of us. That's what partnership is. Partnership? You told Pinnacle I had cancer. Her voice went cold, all pretense dropping. And it worked, didn't it? You're still here. We're still together. We're getting married in 6 months. I stood up. No, we're not. Her face transformed into something genuinely scary. You can't leave me. You have nothing. No job, no savings. Your credit's shot. You need me. And there it was. The whole point. She didn't want a partner, she wanted a hostage. Saturday, January 11th, 8 a.m., I spent the night at Carlos's place. Monica had been calling nonstop, her texts alternating between, I'm sorry, and you'll never make it without me, and I'll ruin you if you leave. That last one I forwarded to my lawyer, Carlos's cousin, who was working pro bono because this case was too insane to pass up. My phone rang, unknown number. It was Streamline Marketing. Mr. Mitchell, we've reviewed your situation. The position was filled, but we have a new opening. Interested? Then DataBridge called, then 3 other companies who wanted to reassess my application. By noon, I had 4 interviews scheduled. 4. After 2 years of nothing, Monica's real estate broker called, Mr. Mitchell, I'm calling about Monica Chen. We've received disturbing information about misuse of company resources for personal harassment. Did she use our office phones to impersonate references? I confirmed everything. Turns out she'd been making these calls during work hours, using company resources to commit fraud. Monday, January 13th, got an offer from Streamline, $90,000 plus a signing bonus to make up for the inconvenience. Monica's real estate license was under review. She texted me, you destroyed my career. The irony was apparently lost on her. She'd spent 2 years destroying mine, but somehow I was the villain for exposing it. Even typing this out now, I'm getting angry all over again. The absolute audacity. 3 months later, Carlos showed me a text from a random number. Hi, I matched with Monica on Bumble. She asked me to bring my pay stubs to our first date to verify income. Is this normal? I responded, run, block her on everything, change your phone number, maybe your name. The guy texted back. She already offered to help me budget better and asked if I'd consider a joint bank account after marriage. Dude, seriously, run. A week later, he sent one more text. You were right. She showed up at my workplace to surprise me and told my boss I was interviewing elsewhere. I never told her where I worked. How did she know? I didn't respond. Some lessons people have to learn for themselves. 47 job rejections, 3 intercepted job offers, 1 dedicated email account for career assassination. Monica didn't just sabotage Ryan's interviews, she built an entire infrastructure for it. Color-coded spreadsheets tracking which lies she told to which company. Templates for concerned colleague scripts. She told one company he had cancer rather than let him take a $95,000 job. The operation-dependent folder still haunts me. She had actual KPIs for destroying his independence. A graph showing his decline over 22 months. When caught, she wasn't ashamed. She was angry he'd snooped. 3 months later, she was already hunting for her next victim on Bumble, asking for pay stubs on first dates. She literally told companies he had cancer rather than let him get a job. The operation-dependent folder, with KPIs for destroying his independence. I can't. Okay, this next story involves actual medical experimentation, so buckle up. What if your wife, a licensed psychologist, was secretly drugging your coffee with Adderall, playing subliminal messages while you slept, and turned your entire marriage into her research paper? Yeah, that's what I found in a box labeled James 2.0. I'm James, 34, construction manager and father of 2, and I was my wife's unwitting lab rat. Saturday, December 14th, 10:30 a.m. I was balancing on our rickety attic ladder, dust particles dancing in the shaft of light from the single bulb. Catherine had insisted the Christmas decorations were in the back left corner, behind the tax documents. The attic smelled like old insulation and forgotten memories. Below me, I could hear Emma and Lucas watching Frozen for probably the 100th time this month. Catherine was at her Saturday clinic hours. She'd been taking extra sessions lately. Said we needed the money for the kids' college funds. My knee protested as I shifted boxes around. I was carrying an extra 30 pounds these days, and I felt every one of them on that ladder. Catherine had been helpful about it. New gym clothes appeared on my dresser last week. She'd been cooking healthier meals, suggesting evening walks, buying me that fitness tracker for my birthday. Just want you healthy for our babies, she'd said, kissing my cheek. I moved a box of old photo albums and there it was, a pristine white banker's box labeled in Catherine's precise handwriting, James 2.0, do not open. The do not open was underlined 3 times in red Sharpie. I stared at that box, Christmas decorations completely forgotten. My hands were already reaching for it before my brain could tell them to stop. Some boxes, once you see them, demand to be opened. Saturday, 10:45 a.m., still in the attic. I had the box in my lap, and what I found inside made my stomach drop straight through the floor. The first folder tab read, Baseline Assessment, Subject James Cooper. Subject, not husband. Subject. Inside was a photo of me from last Christmas at the beach, shirtless, labeled, Project Initiation, December 2023, weight, 212 pounds, 28.8. Attractiveness, rating, 4.2 out of 10, peer evaluated. Peer evaluated? My hands were shaking as I flipped to a spreadsheet. Catherine's friends, Sarah, Monica, Jennifer, and her sister Rachel, had all rated me on various attributes. Physique, 3.5. Grooming, 4. Ambition, 5.5. Sexual performance, 4. Estimated based on Catherine's behavioral indicator. My sister-in-law had rated my sexual performance, based on behavioral indicators from my wife. There was a section called Behavioral Deficiencies, excessive alcohol consumption, average 6.3 beers per week, sedentary lifestyle, 8 hours daily, romantic gesture frequency, 0.5 per month. Everything about me had been reduced to numbers, data points, metrics. I wasn't her husband, I was her lab rat. Looking back, this should have been my first clue. Something was off the way she'd started asking specific questions about my day, taking notes on her phone during dinner conversations. Saturday, 11 a.m. I was deep in the folders now, each one worse than the last. Intervention strategies, Phase 1 through 4. Phase 1 started in January. Subtle environmental modifications. She'd rearranged the fridge to put beer in the back, bought smaller glasses, replaced snacks with cut vegetables. I thought she was just being health conscious for the new year. Phase 2 made me feel sick. Social reinforcement network. There were printed email threads with my mother. My own mother. Catherine, Mrs. Cooper. James responded well to your comment about looking tired. Please continue predetermined script about concern for his health. Mom's response, Catherine, I still think we should just talk to him directly. Catherine, direct confrontation triggers defensive responses. Trust the process. She'd recruited my best friend Tony, my sister Maria, even my boss Steve. There were correspondence logs with all of them. Steve, mentioning the company 5K run was perfect. James's competitive nature activated as predicted. A note from August. Subject showed 40% increase in gym attendance after peer network activation. Consider phase 3. The woman I'd been married to for 8 years had turned everyone in my life into her research assistants. They'd all been in on it, following scripts, manipulating me. Who does something like that? Seriously? Your own family? I could hear the kids downstairs asking for lunch, but I couldn't move. I had to know what phase 3 was. Saturday, 11:20 a.m., phase 3 documentation made my hands shake so bad I almost dropped the folder. Pharmacological support. Experimental protocol. There was a detailed log with dates and dosages. January 15th, 5 milligrams Adderall in morning coffee. Subject showed increased energy. Completed garage organization. February 3rd, 7.5 milligrams. Subject initiated gym session unprompted. She'd been drugging me. My wife, a licensed psychologist, had been putting her prescription ADHD medication in my coffee. The doses were meticulously tracked, effects noted with clinical detachment. March 10th, subject's tolerance building, increased to 10 milligrams. Note, procurement of additional supply through colleague necessary. There were receipts from multiple pharmacies, prescriptions from different doctors. She'd been doctor shopping to maintain her supply. For me, her unwitting test subject. I found a graph showing my productivity index increasing with dosage. A note in the margin. Correlation between stimulant administration and weight loss significant. 15 pounds lost in 3 months. Sexual frequency increased by 60%. Project succeeding beyond projections. Our sex life was a data point. Our intimacy was part of her experiment. Even typing this out now, I'm getting angry all over again. She'd violated me in ways I couldn't even process. But it got worse, because of course it did. Saturday, 11:45 a.m. I found a folder labeled Sleep Conditioning Protocol. Inside were USB drives and a receipt for a $40 sleep hypnosis app. I pulled out my phone, checked the white noise app Catherine had suggested for my snoring. The purchase history showed she'd bought the premium version with custom audio upload capabilities. The USB drives were labeled by date. I couldn't check them in the attic, but there was a printed transcript. You enjoy exercise. Working out makes you feel powerful. Beer tastes disappointing. Vegetables are satisfying. You want to be attractive for Catherine. Catherine deserves a better version of you. You are becoming James 2.0. She'd been playing subliminal messages while I slept. For months. There was a note. Subject's REM cycles mapped. Optimal suggestion window 2:45 to 3:15 a.m. Volume adjusted to 12%, SAT below conscious threshold but above subliminal processing minimum. She'd gotten my sleep data from my smartwatch, the one she'd bought me for health tracking. She hacked my brain while I was unconscious. My wife literally hacked my brain. Looking back, I should have noticed how my preferences had been changing. How beer started tasting off to me. How I'd suddenly started craving salads. Saturday, 12:15 p.m. The kids were calling for lunch more insistently now. I quickly photographed everything with my phone, carefully put the box back, and climbed down. Made them mac and cheese with shaking hands, trying to act normal. Lucas asked why my hands were doing a dance. Kids notice everything. While they ate, I went back up. Had to know the full extent of this nightmare. Found another section, social optimization. Optimization. Catherine had been managing my friendships. There was a chart rating my social circle. Tony, positive influence, gym enthusiast. Maintain. Brad, negative influence, heavy drinker. Eliminate. Marcus, neutral, potential positive. Cultivate. Brad had stopped calling months ago. I thought we'd just drifted apart. Now I found Catherine's notes. Intercepted 3 invitations from Brad. Declined via James's phone while subject sleeping. She'd been accessing my phone at night, controlling who I could see. There was a printed text thread between Catherine and Marcus's wife. Your husband's influence on James has been beneficial, suggesting more couples' activities to reinforce positive behaviors. They'd been managing playdates not for the kids, but to influence me. Who does something like that? Seriously? She'd turned my entire life into her personal Sims game. My phone buzzed. Catherine, leaving clinic early. Want to surprise you and the kids with a fun afternoon. My blood went cold. She was coming home. Saturday, 2 p.m. I'd carefully replaced everything in the attic, but not before finding one more document on my way down a draft academic paper that made everything else look like child's play. Behavioral Modification in Resistant Subjects. A case study in marital enhancement by Dr. Catherine Cooper, Ph.D. I was the case study. My marriage was her research. The abstract read, "This longitudinal study examines the application of clinical behavioral modification techniques on an unwitting adult subject within a marital framework. Results indicate significant improvements across multiple metrics, including physical health, professional achievement, and relationship satisfaction. Ethical considerations are addressed through the framework of implied consent within marriage contracts." Implied consent. She thought marriage meant she could experiment on me. The paper included graphs, charts, before and after photos, even brain scan images. When did she get brain scans? Then I remembered the couples study at the university 6 months ago. She'd convinced me to participate for science. I was her husband, her test subject, and her career advancement all rolled into one. Catherine burst through the door, bright and cheerful. "James, you look energized today. Did you take your vitamins?" My vitamins? The ones she insisted I take every morning. Now I wondered what was really in them. "Yeah, took them," I lied. I'd thrown them away that morning after finding the files. She kissed me, and I noticed her checking my pupils, my skin tone, like she was examining me. Saturday, 3:30 p.m. Catherine had scheduled us a couples workout that I couldn't get out of without raising suspicion. "Brad canceled, so Tony and his wife can join us instead," she announced. Brad canceled because she made him cancel. Because Brad was a negative influence. "Actually, I'm not feeling the gym today," I tested. Catherine's face shifted not to concern but calculation. "Oh, but you've been doing so well. Your energy seemed good this morning. Did you have coffee?" She was trying to figure out if I'd had my dose. My Adderall dose. "Just tired," I said. She pulled out her phone, probably making a note about my resistance to protocol. That evening, after the kids were in bed, we were watching Netflix. But I couldn't focus because Catherine kept typing on her phone. "What are you writing?" "Just work stuff." I leaned over, caught a glimpse. Subject displaying unusual resistance to evening routine. Possible tolerance to current protocol. She quickly closed it. "Patient notes, honey. Confidential." Everything was a lie. Even now, sitting next to me on our couch, she was documenting me like I was one of her clinic patients. Looking back, I should have confronted her right then. But I needed more evidence. I needed to be sure I wasn't going crazy. Saturday, 8 p.m. Kids finally asleep. Catherine and I on the couch, but the distance between us felt like miles. "Catherine, do you think I've changed lately?" She brightened immediately. "Yes. You've lost 18 pounds, got that promotion, you're playing with the kids more, you're becoming the best version of yourself. And you helped with that?" She took my hand, and her touch made my skin crawl. "We're a team, James. I just facilitate your success." Facilitate. Like I was a project she was managing. What if I liked myself before? Her grip tightened slightly. "But you didn't, remember? You complained about your weight, your energy, your career stagnation. I fixed all that." Fixed, like I was broken. She didn't see anything wrong with what she'd done. In her mind, she'd improved the product. Me. The product was me. "Catherine, what would you say if I told you I found something in the attic?" Her face went still. Completely still. Like someone had pressed pause on her expressions. "What kind of something?" Her voice was carefully neutral. "A white box, with my name on it." The silence stretched between us. Then she smiled, that therapist smile she used on difficult patients. "James, we should talk." Even typing this out now, I'm getting angry all over again. She wasn't sorry. She was just Sunday, December 15th, 9 a.m. I'd dropped the kids at my mother's, the same mother who'd been following Catherine's scripts for months. We needed to have this conversation alone. The white box sat on the kitchen table between us like evidence at a trial. "Want to explain James 2.0? Catherine's face went through rapid calculations before settling on professional calm. "James, you violated my privacy." "My privacy? This entire box is about violating my privacy. My autonomy. My fucking consciousness, Catherine." She sat down, switched to her therapy voice, the one that used to comfort me, now made me want to scream. "I understand you're upset. But look at the results. You're healthier, happier, more successful." I showed her the Adderall log. "You drugged me." Therapeutic doses, completely safe. You played mind control tapes while I slept. Positive affirmations, standard therapeutic technique. You turned our friends and family into your research assistants. Social support network, it's evidence-based practice. She genuinely didn't understand the violation. Every horrible thing she'd done had a clinical justification. I pulled out the journal article. I'm your fucking research paper. And then, I'll never forget this, Catherine actually smiled. James, you're going to be published. This could revolutionize marriage counseling. We're going to help thousands of couples. I didn't consent to any of this. But look at the data. Your happiness metrics are up 42%. The absolute audacity of this woman was mind-blowing. She was showing me graphs of my own happiness like I didn't know how I felt. I want a divorce. I want a divorce. Her smile vanished. That would invalidate the study. We need at least 2 more years of data for publication standards. Even now, she was thinking about the research. Not our marriage, not our kids, not the trust. She'd shattered the fucking research. Catherine, you need help. She laughed. Actually laughed. I'm the psychologist here, and according to my assessments, you're having an adjustment disorder. We can modify the protocol to address this resistance. She thought my anger was just another behavior to modify, another data point to optimize. Who does something like that? Seriously? Your husband discovers you've been experimenting on him and you diagnose him with a disorder? I filed for divorce Monday. Her response included a 30-page document analyzing my divorce ideation with treatment recommendations. She genuinely submitted this to the court as evidence. The custody battle was surreal. Catherine submitted charts showing how she'd optimized me as a father, graphs of my parental engagement scores over time. The judge, I'll never forget his face, looked at the evidence and said, Dr. Cooper, did you just submit evidence that you drugged your husband without consent? Catherine, calm as ever. It was therapeutic intervention within marital parameters. You drugged him, without his knowledge, to optimize his performance metrics. The judge looked at me, then back at her. Dr. Cooper, I'm ordering a psychiatric evaluation for you. She lost her license, lost custody, lost everything. But even after the divorce, she kept sending me monthly progress reports on my post-study deterioration, spreadsheets showing how my optimization metrics were declining without her intervention. Her last communication before the restraining order was a pie chart rating my divorce performance as 6.3 out of 10, room for improvement. 6 months later, I got a call from a blocked number. A man's voice. Is this James Cooper? I'm dating Catherine Chen, and she gave me a relationship optimization assessment on our 3rd date. Is this normal? Run, I said. Run fast, run far, and whatever you do, don't drink anything she gives you. She already gave me special vitamins for our journey together. Throw them away. Tonight. He hung up. I hope he listened. A licensed psychologist spent 2 years experimenting on her husband like he was a lab rat. Catherine Cooper documented everything in clinical detail, phase 1 through 4, complete with pharmaceutical protocols and sleep conditioning schedules. She doctor shopped for Adderall to spike his morning coffee, tracked his productivity index as doses increased, measured their intimacy in percentage points. The USB drives contained his sleep hypnosis scripts. You are becoming James 2.0. She'd turned his mother into a research assistant, eliminated his drinking buddies, cultivated approved friendships. When James filed for divorce, she diagnosed him with adjustment disorder and submitted a 30-page treatment plan to the court. Lost her license, lost her kids, but kept sending spreadsheets about his declining optimization metrics until the restraining order. Here's the thing, people who manipulate like this always believe they're the smartest person in the room, that their system is foolproof. Want more proof that karma has a way of catching up? Hit that next video for stories that'll remind you why honesty really is the best policy, even if these people had to learn it the hard way.